A girl is alone in an open field, sighing in front of a suitcase and some items on the ground. Suddenly, a voice tells her to summarize her situation in 3 sentences. She responds with an ironic smile. She was summoned to another world, along with a beautiful high school girl, received a skill considered useless, and was therefore exiled. The girl explains that she was returning from a camping trip when she suddenly fell into a hole that opened beneath her feet. Then she wakes up in another place, confused. The scene changes to a group of hooded people, including a high school girl. They appear to have summoned the two to another world. During the summoning ritual performed by the hooded figures, one of them speaks magical words. A magic circle glows, and 2 figures appear at the center, a beautiful high school girl and a regular girl. The onlookers are surprised by the appearance of both, especially the high school girl, as they watch the scene curiously. The blue-eyed blonde approaches the high school girl, kneeling respectfully in front of her, showing admiration. The girl silently observes the interaction, feeling out of place as the atmosphere between them seems almost magical. She also kneels, surprised by the attention she's receiving and the noble's reaction. Upon discovering that the girl possesses a skill considered useless, the blonde noble explodes with anger and disdain, calling her power trash. Without hesitation, he orders her to be removed, treating her as an annoyance. Meanwhile, the girl watches the situation, confused and disconcerted. After being rejected, the girl appears alone in an open field. She briefly recalls what happened and realizes that she was left there without any explanation. Sitting on the grass, she tries to understand the situation, confused but relieved to see her belongings intact. Determined, she decides to calmly analyze what to do next. The woman introduces herself as Takanashi Rin, a 30-year-old former caregiver now working at a specialized clinic. She explains that since childhood, she has always enjoyed fishing and cooking what she catches. Even though she was summoned to another world, she retains her memories and faces the situation calmly, confident in her survival skills. While relaxing and trying to organize her thoughts, Rin remembers that she was just returning from a regular camping and fishing trip when everything happened. Still confused by the situation, she reflects on what a skill is and the so-called Saintess summoning. Imagining that it might be something like RPG games, she jokes with the idea of being able to see statuses like in the games, thinking that would make everything more interesting. Rin is surprised to see a status bar appear in front of her, just like in a game. She discovers that her class is Otherworld Traveler and that she has survival skills for outdoor living. She notices that her attributes are well balanced, but her special ability only works in outdoor areas. Because she was evaluated indoors, her power was considered trash. Rin mentally complains about being discarded during the summoning. Upon analyzing her survival skill, she realizes that it helps her remain calm, adapt to the environment, and resist emotionally. She understands that, in such an extreme situation, it would be normal to panic. But thanks to this ability, she can move forward with clarity and mental strength. Alone in the field, Rin reflects on her situation. She wonders if she is just struggling to survive, and if, even without understanding what lies ahead, she still wants to stay alive. Silently, she feels a tightness in her chest and almost cries, overwhelmed by a mix of confusion and contained emotion. Determined to move on, Rin activates another skill called Trailer, curious to see what it does. Suddenly, she hears a noise and is surprised to see a shining trailer appear before her out of nowhere. Shocked, she wonders if this is real, unable to believe what she is seeing. Rin cheers when she realizes the magical trailer is real. She realizes she can use it both as a shelter and as a means of transportation. Happy, she understands that now she can move freely in this new world and also rest comfortably inside the vehicle. Excited about her new skill, Rin runs happily around the trailer. She remembers that she had always wanted such a vehicle for camping and fishing trips, but the high cost of buying and maintaining one always prevented her. Still, she often dreamed about it, researching and imagining herself living this reality. Now, she finally has access to what once seemed impossible. Rin, enchanted by the appearance of the trailer, runs eagerly to explore the inside. When she opens the door, she finds an immaculate and shiny interior, equipped with furniture, a kitchen, and everything she needs to live comfortably. To her, it's as if an old dream had come true out of nowhere. Rin enters the trailer and is surprised to find it much larger inside than it appears from the outside. Confused by the magical logic behind this, She decides not to think too much about it and simply enjoy. Excited, she decides to go to the driver's seat to see how driving this wonder feels. Rin finds the trailer's manual and discovers that the vehicle runs on ambient magical energy and can be summoned whenever she's outdoors. It has magical water, automatic waste disposal, a magical barrier against intruders, and even expandable interior space with magic. Rin is amazed by the magical trailer, thinking everything is so perfect that she can hardly react. Reflecting on the situation, she realizes that her skill, considered trash by others, is actually extremely useful and comfortable. Not knowing what skill the high school girl received, Rin begins to doubt whether it was really her who got the worst part in this story. Rin decides to put the doubts aside and move on. Driven by youthful curiosity and a sense of adventure, she boards the trailer and heads toward the unknown. With a light smile, she chooses to save her worries for later and enjoy this new journey in a world full of possibilities. Driving peacefully through the field with the trailer, Rin enjoys the scenery around her. Feeling the wind, the movement of the vehicle, and the freedom of the road, she smiles contentedly. To her, this feeling of traveling on her own is simply the best. Rin decides to stop trying to understand the logic behind the magical trailer, as everything about it is just too amazing. With absurd internal space, magical storage, terrain analysis navigation, and keyless ignition since she is bonded to the vehicle as its skill user, she is in awe. To her, the practicality and features are so incredible that it must be magic. Rin is shocked by another incredible feature of the trailer. It locks automatically when she moves away and unlocks by itself when she approaches. After arriving at her destination with the help of the navigation system, she begins to think about how to ensure potable water during outdoor activities, even though she already has a good supply inside the vehicle. Rin reaches an isolated lake where the water is safe to drink. A magical panel provides all the necessary information about the location. She remembers that the survival skill promised to provide knowledge and resources automatically. Impressed, she concludes that the system is truly amazing, guiding everything perfectly, as if it were delivering survival on a silver platter. Rin gets excited when she spots a magical trout jumping out of the lake. A panel informs her that it's a milk trout, highly nutritious and safe to eat raw. Surprised to find wild fish like this in this world, she bursts into happiness. To her, being in such a perfect fishing spot feels like being in fishing paradise. Rin grabs her fishing gear with enthusiasm and positions herself by the lake. Analyzing the flow of the water and the types of lures available, she decides to start with a crankbait, as she still doesn't have much practice with more advanced techniques. Even so, she's excited and confident, savoring each moment of the experience. Rin casts the lure with strength and precision, surprised that she got it right on the first try. When she feels something pulling on the line, she realizes the fish is quite large. Excited and nervous, she begins to reel in the line firmly, trying to stay calm while dealing with the unexpected catch. Rin keeps her composure while fighting the fish, waiting for the right moment to pull it in. When the fish finally tires, she seizes the opportunity and successfully catches it. Excited and full of pride, she lifts the huge magical trout and celebrates aloud. "I caught a milk trout." Rin is impressed by the size of the trout she caught. She believes the fish is over 80 centimeters long. Surprised that she was able to catch it with cheap equipment she brought from home, she wonders how this was possible. Then a panel reveals that her fishing set has been transformed into a magical otherworld kit, with extraordinary strength and durability, capable of handling even large catches without breaking. Tired, Rin reflects on how being summoned to another world can be exhausting but still rewarding. She mentally thanks the fishing equipment for being so effective. She then goes through the process of cleaning the fish, removing the blood to ensure the best flavor possible. Although she feels a bit sorry, she offers a brief prayer and prepares to enjoy her reward with respect and gratitude. Rin considers using another method to dispatch the fish, but decides to stick with the traditional process to preserve the flavor. Grateful for the life she received, she chooses to enjoy the good food the new world offers her. After breathing a sigh of relief, she becomes excited again and decides to continue fishing for a while longer. Rin observes the huge trouts she has already caught and is enchanted by the lake's abundance. Surprised by the size of the fish, she wonders if all the milk trouts in the area are this big. Excited, she wants to catch more but also hesitates, not wanting to release any. She's determined to make the most of each catch. Rin feels torn and frustrated because she wants to continue fishing but knows that catching more large fish would result in waste. As she thinks about this, the scene shifts to show the hand of a mysterious figure with dark nails and horns, suggesting that something or someone is about to appear nearby. Rin, distracted, has not yet noticed the approaching presence. Rin finds an unconscious man with horns lying near the shore. As she approaches, she realizes he seems to be human, not a typical monster from fantasy stories. Relieved, she comments to herself. Rin is startled when she notices that the man has horns and thinks he might be an ogre, but soon realizes he's not as scary as she imagined. In fact, she finds him handsome and aesthetically pleasing, even with his somewhat wild appearance. Curious, she approaches carefully, still evaluating whether he poses any danger. Rin is relieved to see that the horned guy is still alive, as he blinks slightly. Feeling safe to approach, she goes to him and tries to speak, asking if he's conscious and if he can move. He tries to respond, but he's clearly weak and can barely speak. Rin notices that the young man is not fully conscious or still unable to move properly. She notices his vibrant eyes and decides to pull him out of the water to prevent his body temperature from dropping. Despite the situation, she feels relieved that he is alive and conscious, although weakened. Rin prepares to drag the young man to the shore, apologizing for having to use her strength as a fisherman. With effort, she tries to position him correctly, asking him to bend his arm. He seems a little confused but cooperates. Even though it hurts, she remains determined, doing her best to help him carefully. As she drags the young man through rocks and gravel, Rin realizes how uncomfortable this must be for him. Still, she recognizes that she can't carry him in her arms because of his physical size. Frustrated, she remembers that although she doesn't appear strong, she was a caregiver and now works with acupuncture and moxibustion, and she shouldn't be underestimated. Determined, she continues pulling him to a safer location. Breathing heavily after the effort of dragging the young man, Rin proudly reassures that she also has a nursing license. A noise from something moving in the water catches her attention, but she keeps her focus on the horned young man, now observing him closely with a watchful and determined look, ready to help him as best as she can. Rin warns that she will go find something to dry the young man's clothes, since he's still wet, and his body temperature could drop. But before she returns, he uses magic to instantly dry his clothes with the spell Laundry Dry. Rin watches in surprise as the magical effect makes his clothes flutter as they dry quickly. Rin is shocked to see the clothes-drying magic in action, thinking everything is unbelievable and worthy of a fantasy. The horned boy tries to get up, but is still weak, and ends up falling on top of her. Rin holds him, concerned, and asks if he's okay. He, still staggering, answers with difficulty that he's hungry as hell. Rin, completely caught off guard, screams in shock. But soon after, she opens a big smile as if excited about the idea of cooking something for him. The ogre's stomach starts growling loudly, catching Rin completely by surprise. She's shocked by the noise and wonders if it really is the sound of his stomach growling. Meanwhile, he explains that he's so hungry that even sucking the blood from the trout would help, since it looks quite nutritious. Rin concludes that his strong body probably consumes a lot of energy, so it's not surprising. Rin thinks that, as they say, unexpected encounters can create lasting bonds. And besides everything, she's also hungry. Ignoring someone starving would leave her with a heavy conscience, so she decides to take action. She mutters to herself that a simple meal, like grilling the trout, could be done with a campfire. But she has another idea: to use her magic van. Even though there's no road nearby, there's enough space to summon it. Confident, she tells the ogre that he's in good hands. Rin walks over to the spot where she left the van, wondering if she could make it disappear again. And indeed, the van vanishes out of nowhere. Surprised, she stands still for a moment, then tries to bring it back, nervously shouting for it to appear again. When she does, the van suddenly reappears with a loud noise, confirming that she can indeed summon and dismiss the van at will. Rin confirms that she can activate or deactivate the van's ability whenever she wants, making it appear near her current location. Excited, she decides to use this to camp and cook outdoors in this parallel world. Though excited, she also thinks of the unconscious ogre and sets up a tent so he will have a place to rest when he wakes up, as it would be cruel to leave him outside after almost drowning. Rin sets up a simple tent for the ogre to rest, even though it will only serve as shelter from the sun or for a temporary rest. Instead of using the van's kitchen, she decides to light a campfire outside, close to him, to warm him up a bit. She's used to improvising stoves with stones, but this time she opts for a campfire stand. There's still a lot to do, and she wants to finish it all before sunset, as visibility will decrease significantly with the darkness. Rin enters the van's kitchen and is amazed by what she sees. Everything is clean, shining, and very well organized. She excitedly comments how this space seems like an amazing kitchen at first glance. Even though she wants to eat soon, something catches her attention: a jar of free barley tea, making her even more excited. Rin finds the knives neatly arranged on the kitchen wall and starts her preparations. She decides to leave the detailed exploration for later and focuses on finishing everything before sunset. As she cleans and cuts the fish, she's delighted by the glistening fat, saying it looks delicious. Rin takes the opportunity to secretly taste a piece of fish and is amazed by the flavor. She plans to make sashimi or carpaccio the next day and thinks of using the head and spine to prepare a dashi broth. Impressed by the quality of the ingredient, she notes that, even with so much fat, the fish doesn't have a strong smell or taste too greasy. It's simply delicious. Rin begins grilling large pieces of fish over the fire. Although she prefers using skewers, like in the Ayu style, she admits that the fish are too large for that. Still, she's excited, hearing the fish sizzle and enjoying the camping atmosphere with a satisfied smile on her face. Meanwhile, the ogre continues to sleep, unaware of the feast being prepared. The ogre finally wakes up, still lying down. Rin approaches and asks if he's okay, if he feels pain anywhere. He replies that he's so hungry he could eat a bear. Rin is happy to see that he's doing well and informs him that the fish is almost ready, offering food to him shortly after. Rin hands the grilled fish to the ogre, warning him that it's hot. He watches it carefully before accepting, a little wary. Rin understands his reaction, finding it normal to be cautious when receiving food from someone he's just met. Still, the ogre thanks her and says he'll eat with pleasure. The ogre takes a bite of the fish with grace and good manners, discreetly complimenting the flavor. Rin, excited by his reaction, decides to join in and creates a peaceful meal between the two. Rin takes a big bite of the grilled fish and is amazed. The skin is crispy and tasty, with the salt marking the first taste. Then, the fat melts, and the sweet juices mix with the salt, creating an irresistible flavor that leaves her completely satisfied. Rin continues eating the grilled fish, feeling a light, creamy taste rising through her nose, understanding the reason behind the name milk trout. Amazed, she savors each piece and concludes that the flavor pairs perfectly with barley tea. After taking a large sip, she lets out a satisfied "Pwah!" Rin enthusiastically compliments the fish, saying that it's incredible to be able to fish and eat something so delicious. She is impressed by the quality of the ingredients in this world, noticing that the fish didn't fall apart even when grilled directly over the fire and was full of umami. She then offers more to the ogre, telling him to eat as much as he wants since there's still plenty left. Rin watches in surprise as the ogre eats everything and thinks that his appetite is truly extraordinary. Soon after, he starts to get sleepy, which she understands well, as eating a lot makes you drowsy. Seeing this, Rin points out that she prepared a tent with blankets for one person and invites him to use it if he wants. The ogre, embarrassed, thanks her and accepts. Rin watches the ogre stumble toward the tent, drowsy from sleep. She thinks that, even though he's technically still a stranger, he doesn't seem like someone who would steal from her, especially since he doesn't show hostility toward humans. She even reflects that as much as she clings to her equipment and feels lonely at times, if anything were to be stolen, the van camping would protect her from the worst. Rin realizes that her survival skill, Survival San, isn't giving any alarms at the moment, which is a good sign. She remembers that earlier when she was looking for firewood, a red alarm suddenly appeared. At that time, she was near an area with grass and poisonous thorns. She concludes that the system probably serves to alert her whenever she's near danger. Rin watches the ogre sleep and thinks that he was the first person she met since arriving in this world. That's why she wants to trust him. She reflects that if someone had bad intentions, like stealing or harming her, her survival skill would have given an alert. Since that didn't happen, she concludes that he's someone she can trust. Rin sits thoughtfully, looking up at the starry sky with multiple moons. She stretches out her hand, still amazed by the world she's in. Even after everything that happened that day, the reality of being in another world seems to finally settle in her mind. Rin gazes at the night sky with a mixture of admiration and determination. She accepts that she's ended up in a completely unknown world, but she knows she needs to live there for a good while. Even without understanding everything, at least she has a useful survival and defense skill. That's a good start to face whatever comes next. Rin smiles with determination. Now that she understands her abilities and the situation better, she decides to make the most of this new life. She wants to travel the country, see places, enjoy the landscapes, and have as much fun as possible. With this thought, she clenches her fist tightly and promises that she'll inspect her motorhome before going to sleep. After all, safety comes first. Rin, excited, announces that the main event of the night has arrived, checking what's in the fridge. With her heart racing with anticipation, she opens the door with a loud ka-ching. But what she sees shocks her. The inside looks like a cosmic vortex, with galactic whirlpools spinning as if the fridge were an interdimensional passage. She freezes, breaking into a cold sweat, unsure of what to expect from it. When she opens the fridge, Rin is surprised by the absurdly large internal space, much bigger than the external size suggested. But what really impresses her is not that, but the contents. A huge variety of spices and condiments such as miso, mirin, Worcestershire sauce, mayonnaise, ketchup, soy sauce, and even a rare clear dashi. She is in awe of the quality and variety, far beyond what she expected to find. Rin continues exploring the fridge, enchanted, and finds ingredients like butter, consommé, flour, and even rice. As she examines one of the jars, she sees a note that says, "Everything in here is free for your use. I didn't use magic or anything scary, okay?" This leaves her even more confused, but also excited. She realizes that everything seems to have been replicated based on the fridge and pantry of her old apartment. The assortment is so complete that she's left speechless, surprised by the practicality and familiarity of the contents. Rin continues exploring the ingredients and realizes that even the most specific details were recreated. The butter reminds her of a souvenir her father brought from a trip. The miso and sake are identical to the ones from her hometown brewery. And the mayonnaise is from the same premium brand she used to buy as a treat. What surprises her the most, though, are the jars with her own special homemade spice mixes. Even though she doesn't understand how this is possible, she recognizes that everything seems to have come straight from her past life. Rin feels extremely grateful for the conveniences she's found in this new world. The familiar flavors and ingredients from her old life are a great relief and give her a lot of motivation. She's excited to realize that, with rice and flour, her food supply is guaranteed. As she flips through the motorhome's manual, she becomes excited to see that it also has a stove and a rice cooker, which will make her adaptation even easier. Rin continues exploring the motorhome's kitchen, enchanted. The oven also functions as a grill and steamer, as well as having automatic defrosting and other modern functions. The rice cooker is large, with a capacity of about 10 liters, and it cooks rice in a fluffy and efficient way thanks to its diamond coating. She also finds kitchen utensils and dishes ready for use, growing more and more surprised by the quality and completeness of the environment. Rin tries the oven's oil-free frying function and faces a dilemma. While it's healthier, the taste of the fried-type food doesn't compare to true frying. She tries to rationalize the benefits, like weight control, but can't convince herself entirely. After trying it, she admits that it's not bad, just that it lacks the thrill that traditional fried chicken brings, which easily wins in comparison. Rin gets irritated thinking that someone might have called her chubby. She tries to justify herself, saying that her bones are just a bit wide and that she only has fat on her arms and hips. Still, she soon gives up caring and decides to embrace who she is. She wants to be a fun and energetic chubby girl. The scene ends with her hugging herself and accepting her body. Rin decides it's time to sleep. She closes the trailer door, turns the key, and pulls the curtain to ensure privacy. Looking at the interior of the place, she feels satisfied with how spacious and comfortable the environment is, showing a sense of pride and relief. Rin climbs up curiously, thinking she'll sleep in a regular trailer bunk. But when she lies down on the bed, she realizes it's much softer and fluffier than she expected. Surprised and satisfied, she soon relaxes and falls asleep under the moonlight. At dawn, the ogre bows deeply, thanking and apologizing sincerely, leaving Rin surprised and unsure how to react. She tries to ease the moment by asking him to get up. Upon closer observation, Rin realizes that he looks much healthier than the day before. Rin asks what he brought in that wooden container, and the ogre replies that it's almiraj meat, a type of horned rabbit. He explains that he found one by accident and decided to hunt it as a form of thanks. Rin recognizes the creature from RPG games and confirms that it's those horned rabbits. The ogre comments that although they are rabbits, the meat is delicious. Rin happily confirms that she was right. The almiraj meat is indeed tasty, but soon after she stops and wonders if it's really okay to accept it. The ogre interprets her hesitation as rejection and asks if she doesn't like rabbit meat. A little embarrassed, he says that he didn't expect this kind of thanks and asks her not to worry about it. Rin quickly denies it, explaining that it's not that. The ogre insists that he can't let this go. He says that she shared her rations and shelter with him, something valuable, and that the almiraj meat doesn't even come close to repaying that. He asks her to accept it as thanks for saving his life. Rin looks at him, surprised but moved by his words, and ends up accepting. Rin accepts the gift with a smile and sincerely thanks him. The ogre returns the look with satisfaction, though he thinks that, technically, she already had supplies and shelter guaranteed. He just didn't have the courage to say that out loud. Soon after, Rin asks how he ended up in that situation. A little embarrassed, he says it's quite an embarrassing story. The final panel indicates that the explanation will come next, with the narration, according to Ogre-san's story. While camping, Ogre-san managed to recover his tools, but the food had already been eaten and spoiled. During a bath, small ferret-like monsters stole his supplies. Then, he fell into the river and finally slipped off a cliff while trying to pick fruit. In the end, his luck proved to be terrible. Ogre-san explains that the ferrets aren't really dangerous. They're docile, but extremely curious and playful. The problem is that they move in groups, are fast and love to rummage through bags and things they don't know, making a huge mess. For someone who's the target of their mischief, it's a pretty tough situation. The girl realizes that Veal is carrying nothing with him, confirming how unlucky he is. Embarrassed, he apologizes and thanks her for the help the previous day. He finally introduces himself as Veal and says that she saved him. Though awkward, he shows gratitude and apologizes for telling such a pitiful story. Rin introduces herself with a smile and tells Veal not to worry, saying that misfortunes help a person grow. She welcomes him lightly, making the atmosphere between them more friendly. Veal watches her kindness silently. Veal avoids giving his last name so as not to seem like someone important, like a noble or wealthy merchant. He thinks Rin should be more cautious with strangers, but he is surprised by her relaxed and confident demeanor as she extends her hand in a gesture of friendship. Rin calmly explains why she trusts Veal. If he were a bad person, he would have already stolen or done something while she was sleeping, especially being in such an isolated place. She also remembers that her survival instinct didn't detect any danger from him. Therefore, she concludes that Veal is trustworthy and even feels bad for having doubted him. Rin continues reflecting and concludes that it doesn't make sense for Veal to try to gain the trust of someone with no possessions like her, if he had bad intentions. Also, even though she doesn't have a special skill to judge character, she feels that Veal doesn't seem like a bad person. Veal, for his part, dramatically swears that he would never hurt someone who saved his life. Rin gets irritated when she remembers the people from the summoning room and thinks that Veal is clearly much better than them. Curious, she asks if he is used to traveling alone. Veal confirms, saying that he has some experience as an adventurer and that cities and villages usually have guilds, as long as they are of a reasonable size. Rin explains that, due to certain circumstances, she never had the chance to find a guild or any kind of organization. So, with determination, she offers to travel with Veal to the nearest village or city. In exchange, she promises to provide food and shelter, suggesting that he guide her along the way. Veal thinks the proposal is advantageous for him and accepts, even though it seems too good to be true. Rin celebrates, saying that it's a situation where both of them win, as she'll also be able to learn more about the world. She then mentions that she doesn't have many supplies, but she possesses skills that help her identify edible ingredients during the journey. Veal is impressed, saying that this is very valuable for someone with an appetite like his. Rin says that she would be very grateful if they could travel together from now on. She thinks that if this happens, she'll need to reveal her special ability at the right time. Veal responds with a smile, saying that it would be a dream come true, and that he will be under her care. The two seal the agreement with a handshake, and at that moment, Veal's stomach growls loudly, ending the moment humorously. As they prepare for breakfast, Veal shows some edible plants he found. Rin, excited, says they will discuss the details of the journey while eating. She asks if the leaves are edible, and Veal confirms, explaining that they are not the main dish. Rin then comments that she plans to make something like porridge using the fish they caught the day before. Veal, still hungry, shyly asks if he could eat with her. Veal thanks her with a smile when Rin says that, of course, they'll eat together, now that they're traveling together. He then offers to fetch firewood. As she watches him walk away, Rin thinks she'd rather not reveal everything about her camping van until after the meal. Rin decides not to talk about heavy matters before the meal, as it would spoil the taste. While organizing things, she thinks about preparing breakfast with yesterday's trout. She will make a soup with rice and carpaccio instead of sashimi, adding olive oil to help keep them full longer. She also plans to cook some of it steamed using aluminum foil. Rin seasons the trout fillets with salt and pepper, then wraps them in aluminum foil to steam. The fish bones and innards are buried to avoid leaving any waste. Next, she begins sautéing rice in olive oil, but notices she only has ground ginger, which is not as good as fresh ginger. She regrets not having found garlic or fresh ginger in the fridge, as those ingredients would have enriched the flavor at this stage of the preparation. Rin lowers the heat and cooks the rice slowly with dashi stock, soy sauce, and flakes of shredded trout. She lightly seasons with salt and pepper when the rice becomes transparent. She mixes everything carefully to avoid sticking or burning and covers the pan to keep the steam in. Meanwhile, she prepares the cured trout slices from the day before. Then she seasons them with salt, pepper, and olive oil, finishing with the herbs she picked earlier, plating the dish in a balanced way. Rin finishes the carpaccio and proudly presents the prepared dish. Meanwhile, Veal is starving, and his stomach growls loudly, but he tries to keep his composure. Rin asks for a little more patience, saying the porridge is almost ready. She mixes the chopped herb called morsley into the now soft rice and heats it a little more. Veal comments that the smell during preparation really increases his appetite, trying to hide his hunger. Rin finishes the main dish, a rice soup similar to a risotto or Asian-style rice porridge. She presents the dish enthusiastically, and the two prepare to eat. After thanking for the meal, they both begin eating. Rin tastes the dish and is delighted with its creamy texture and delicious flavor, clearly satisfied with the result. Rin praises the dish, highlighting the good smell of the morsley and how the softness of the rice makes it easy to eat. The flavor of the raw fish was softened with sake and soy sauce, and the texture of the ingredients stands out. Meanwhile, Veal tries the food and freezes. He goes into shock, seeming to bug like a computer. Rin becomes worried and asks if he didn't like the dish, confused by his unexpected reaction. Veal panics, denying that he didn't like the food. In fact, he's so surprised by the deliciousness of the meal that he can barely believe he's living this moment. Emotional, he asks for more, praising the food to the point of getting up to repeat. Rin smiles, excited, and tells him to eat as much as he wants. Soon after, the plates are completely empty, showing that Veal devoured everything with pleasure. Veal praises Rin for her cooking skills and asks if she's a chef. Rin replies that cooking has always just been a hobby, and that she loves preparing all kinds of food. She admits to being a true food lover, always wanting to experiment and cook different dishes. While serving tea, Rin realizes something strange. The jar of barley tea she brought never empties, no matter how much she pours. During the conversation, Veal suddenly asks what exactly Rin is. Surprised by the direct question, she is left speechless. Veal explains that he found it strange to see fire-resistant folding chairs and unusual materials like her tent and bed, things that are uncommon in this world. Rin hesitates to answer, but Veal interrupts, saying that it doesn't matter who she is, because she is still his savior. He promises that, as long as things are not extreme, he won't do anything to hurt her. Rin is confused by the term extreme, and asks what he meant by that. Veal says that by extreme, he means things like betraying or hurting companions. Rin hurries to explain that, although she's not an expert, she has some knowledge in the medical field and would never hurt someone on purpose. She then starts to think that maybe it's better to tell him about her origins and abilities soon, before he suspects or thinks she's hiding something. Rin calls Veal for a serious talk before the journey. She thinks that if he ever tries to abuse her power, she can simply escape with her magical van. She then focuses and activates something, asking Veal to also see the van. With a determined pose, she says, "Seeing is believing," while Veal watches, thinking how cute the gesture looks coming from her. Despite her strong physique, Veal is shocked when he sees what appears before him. Rin reveals her magical van, explaining that this is the special ability she wanted to share. Veal is stunned, not fully understanding what he's seeing, and asks who she really is. Rin begins to explain, saying that she was a caregiver and studied acupuncture and moxibustion. Even though she doesn't know where to begin, she asks Veal to listen to her. Meanwhile, Veal tries to process everything and wonders if this has anything to do with a saint summoning. Rin reveals that she's not from this world and that she arrived here during a saint summoning ritual. Veal recalls folk tales about women from another world who pacified monsters and brought peace. Rin confirms this, but emphasizes that she's using the term apparently because she's not entirely sure about everything. She then reveals that another woman was also summoned along with her, but there's something that bothers her about that. Rin tells him that she was discarded as useless trash right after being summoned. Veal reacts indignantly, saying that if she were really useless, he would already be dead. He concludes that the people who did that to her are terrible and inhuman. Rin is moved, realizing that she wasn't wrong about the cruelty she suffered, and feels relieved that Veal understood the gravity of the situation. Rin explains that her special ability only activates outdoors and allows her to store and summon many items. Veal realizes that they probably couldn't see her power because the ritual was done inside a building. Still, he thinks it's absurd that they called her useless. He comments that even though she might not be useful in direct combat, she could be very helpful in military logistics. Veal explains that Rin's ability is strong enough to sustain an entire front line alone, being able to transport food, medical supplies, weapons, and armor, all with a simple command. That would make her incredibly valuable in wars. Rin panics at this thought, realizing that they could force her to fight alone if they found out about this. She starts sweating cold, terrified of being used as a war tool. Veal asks Rin what she plans to do from here on. She replies that now that she has shelter and food, two of the three essential items, her plan is simply to travel and enjoy the world. When Veal suggests that she might end up becoming a war legend, Rin reacts in horror and firmly refuses. She states that she's not nice enough to help those who discarded her without thinking. Veal comments that he doesn't want to see his savior being deceived and asks Rin how she plans to enjoy the world. She freezes when she realizes she never thought of the details. Veal explains that to enter cities, you need documents and money. Rin panics, remembering that she doesn't even have local currency and that making everything legal seems complicated. Rin panics when she realizes she doesn't know how to deal with this world's business system or how to protect herself. She tries to think of alternatives like selling food or offering massages, but everything seems too complicated. Desperate, she curls up on the ground, lamenting. Veal watches and concludes that the situation is more serious than he imagined. He says that if it's okay with her, he has something in mind to help. Veal makes a direct proposal to Rin. He suggests that she join him, taking care of food and also acting as the group's porter. Rin is surprised by the idea. Rin accepts the proposal but clarifies that she doesn't intend to cook extravagant dishes like a chef, just the simple foods she already enjoys preparing. Veal understands that her skill level is more or less like the meal from before, and comments that anyone could cook at this level. Deep down, he feels a little discouraged by this, thinking that good people always end up being underestimated when they're in the kitchen. Veal begins to dramatize what meals are like during adventures. Raw meat that's burnt on the outside, watery soup, and rice that looks like coal or stone. He begs Rin to accept the role of the group's cook, praising her dishes and saying that, compared to the culinary disaster they usually face, her food is a true paradise. He assures her that they will share the rewards and she will be free to do whatever she wants outside of missions. Veal panics and pleads with Rin to save the group, saying that finding someone who can cook like she does was a stroke of luck. Rin understands how difficult it is to endure an adventure without good food and starts to be convinced. She comments that the situation didn't need to be so dramatic, but Veal continues to emphasize that skilled cooks are already committed to other teams, and that only she can save them. Rin realizes he's saying exactly what she had been thinking. Veal explains that Rin can earn money, save, help the group, and also visit many places during the missions. He assures her that it's not a bad deal for her, and reinforces that the team is made up of capable people, including other women, which might make her feel more at ease. Upon hearing all this, Rin becomes excited, as this is exactly the type of adventure she wanted, to explore the world while traveling. Rin is surprised by the direct invitation, but before accepting, she pauses to think about the situation. Even though she has useful skills, she recognizes that she doesn't know the customs of this world. Still, she considers Veil's proposal because she is alone and has no other options. Despite feeling insecure, she decides to trust him. But in the end, she comments that all of this, including her strength, is just a facade, leaving Veil confused. Veil approaches Rin with an intense look and speaks provocatively. He reminds her that she saved him from hunger and says that, as a savior, she deserves some kind of reward. He insinuates that he would like to show goodwill in a personal way, which leaves Rin completely speechless. She turns red and is shocked, not knowing how to respond. Rin, completely embarrassed and nervous by Veil's approach, tries to retreat desperately, saying that he doesn't need to thank her like this. However, Veil holds her, and with a threatening smile, says he won't let her escape, suggesting they should have a better conversation and understand each other. This sends Rin into a panic, realizing that she made a big mistake by letting her heart waver for him, even if just for a moment. Rin asks about the members of Veil's group and begins processing the information. Araya is an arcanist, and also Veil's wife. She is powerful, fights with threads, and loves sweets. Ed is a magical alchemist, Arya's husband, and a feudal pervert, according to comments, considered a fool who deserved to die without mercy. Senyun is a priestess and former noble, who abandoned her family and status, choosing to live with Veil. She is described as pure, skilled in embroidery. Rin seems to reflect silently on how unique and intense the group members are. Veil reveals that he belongs to the Dragul race, a draconic ogre race with great physical and magical strength, but low efficiency. He says he arrived in time to save Rin because, without her, he would have starved. Rin comments that, although she doesn't have combat strength, she can search for and prepare food. She realizes that Veila is strong but gets hungry easily and is impressed by the variety of races in this fantasy world. Rin discovers that Arya is also a big eater, just like Ed and Sinyon. Veil confirms that everyone in the group has a big appetite, but Rin assures him that she can handle it and is used to cooking a lot. She asks about the basic ingredients, and Veil explains that they come from quest rewards or selling found items, and the profits are divided among the members after covering basic expenses. Veil proposes that Rin receive 60% of one of the 5 equal parts of the group's reward, considering that she won't directly participate in the battles. The division system is explained in detail. First, they cover the basic mission costs, then whatever is left is equally divided among the 5 members. Rin understands that it will be like a trial period for her, but considers the proposal fair, as she will be under the protection of the others. Rin accepts the proposal and feels grateful to receive any part of the profits. However, she begins to worry about the acceptance of the other members, as she was hired solely on Veil's word. She fears she might be a burden, as her performance is still unknown and could end up reducing the group's overall profits. Veil, sensing her insecurity, changes the focus and invites her to explore the area with him, trying to lighten the mood. Veil says that Rin's ability has its value and encourages her to practice it while they travel, so she can better understand its limits. He asserts that no ability is perfect, no matter how powerful it seems, and that the key is to make the most of it by understanding its limitations. Rin, hearing this, realizes that she had already begun to understand that on her own. Rin reflects that, although her Survival San ability is useful for survival, it has many limitations. She realizes that she wouldn't be able to escape dangerous enemies just with alerts, especially being physically weak. Additionally, she doesn't know enough about the world and can't summon the van wherever she wants. Therefore, she understands that the real responsibility lies in the decisions she makes, using the information she receives wisely. Rin recognizes that, even with a convenient ability, she will be useless if she doesn't know how to use it properly. For that reason, she decides she needs to improve, regardless of the world she is in. She sees this journey as an opportunity to get to know herself better and deeply understand her unique ability. Determined, she runs, calling for Villasan, ready to take action. Rin thanks and asks them to take good care of her, thinking she will be a burden to the group. Vil responds kindly, saying that he will also be under her care. With all preparations made, she cleans up the area, stores a water bottle and towel in her pouch, and becomes excited. Now, it's time to truly enter this new fantasy world. Vil covers Rin with a cloak made of durable leather, explaining that although it looks heavy, it offers good protection. He says they can proceed at her pace, and that there's no rush. Rin turns red from his kindness and closeness, thinking that handsome men are too dangerous for the heart. Though she finds Vil friendly and trustworthy, she begins to get nervous about the situation. As they walk through a peaceful forest, Rin is inspired by the environment and recites a haiku. Vil, on the other hand, says that the air is so delightful that it feels like it's quenching his hunger. Rin reacts in surprise, thinking his attitude is a bit exaggerated, while Vil seems to truly enjoy the walk, as if savoring the air. As they walk through the forest, Rin begins thinking about preparing snacks that will last the whole day, since Vil seems to get hungry early. Suddenly, Rin spots something in a tree and excitedly calls Vil, saying she found food. She points to a tree with red and dark purple fruits, believing that there may be something edible there. Rin identifies the fruit as halberry, a berry that is sweet when ripe and can be used in jams or teas. She confirms with her ability that it's not poisonous, which excites Vil, who immediately runs to pick the fruit. Rin tries to keep up with him, but she is surprised by his speed. Rin sees Vil quickly climbing the slope and decides that she can't fall behind. Remembering the times when she used to play on the playground, she tries to use the same instincts to climb the cliff. With effort, she begins to climb, but quickly gets tired and out of breath, clearly struggling, while Vil watches her, concerned. Rin can't climb by herself, and Vil ends up helping to pull her up. She's out of breath and apologizes for the inconvenience, worrying that she might be too heavy. Vil, however, says it was no trouble, and that he could carry 2 Rins without any problem. While they talk, Rin squeezes Vil's arm, surprising him with pain. She comments that his muscles are as hard as steel, and Vil, embarrassed, doesn't know how to react. Upon noticing the stiffness in his arm, Rin deduces it must be from repetitive effort and decides to massage it. Vil feels relief from the massage and says his arm feels light now. They then prepare to pick the fruit together. Rin realizes the area seems to have been used by others and asks Vil if it's common for people to pass by there. He explains that the area is rich in phelina, a useful plant, which attracts merchants, adventurers, and woodcutters. The guild sends these groups periodically to gather fruits, herbs, and control the vegetation growth. Additionally, the nearby road is frequently patrolled to keep monsters away. Rin is relieved to know that the forest is safe, unlike her world, where it was common to hear about bear and wild boar attacks in the mountains. With that, she and Vil decide to start picking the fruit from the tree. Rin remembers that they will only make snacks, and that the fruits of the forest are a blessing for everyone. Meanwhile, Vil starts eating during the harvest, which causes Rin to scold him. As they pick the fruit, Rin and Vil can't resist and start eating a few in the process. Rin comments on the acidic and addictive taste of the fruit, comparing it to blackberries from her world. Vil also tries one but ends up picking an extremely sour one, making his mouth scrunch up. Rin notices and makes a playful comment about the state of his lips. Rin, acting on autopilot because she's used to medical care, cleans Vil's face without thinking. He looks confused, and she panics, apologizing repeatedly. Vil tries to wipe the stain from his mouth, but realizes the cloth isn't working. Rin then uses magic to cast a cleaning spell called Laundry, which surprises both of them when it works perfectly. Rin is surprised and excited to see Vil covered in sparkles after the cleaning spell. He explains that it's a useful magic called Life Arts, used by adventurers who can't bathe or wash clothes frequently. Rin is enchanted by the practicality of the magic, finding everything incredible, especially because it feels as if she just came out of a bath. She cheers excitedly, repeating how amazing magic is. Rin feels immature for acting with so much excitement, thinking she'll never stop being like a child. Even so, she continues eating the halberries without worry until she realizes her fingers are all purple. She accepts it lightly, thinking it's a small price to pay for being able to savor something so delicious. While Rin calmly talks to Vil, a sudden sound catches his attention. Looking up, he sees a threatening shadow in the sky. Vil yells for Rin to be careful, But it's already too late. Something begins to fall right above her. Rin freezes when she notices the approaching danger. Veal acts quickly and protects Rin in his arms when he notices the threat. A huge creature resembling a monstrous crow descends upon them. Rin watches, terrified and confused, as the bird approaches with loud screeches. It's a phantom fowl, a monster from mountainous regions, known for attacking humans. Though it is considered a tasty ingredient, Veal holds Rin firmly as the monstrous bird glares at them. Even without thinking of strategies, Rin's instincts scream to flee. With trembling hands and a racing heart, Rin feels true fear for the first time. Realizing how fragile her situation has always been in this dangerous world, Veal comforts Rin, saying the monster ahead poses no real danger. Still, she shakes with fear, trying to hold back her tears. He holds her firmly and assures her that he's by her side. Meanwhile, Rin fights internally to calm herself, even though she feels like this is the worst time to lose control. Rin, still shaken, decides she can't just watch while others face danger. She concentrates and activates a skill that reveals full information about the monstrous birds ahead, the phantom fowls. She discovers that, although they're aggressive in groups, they're easy to deal with in small numbers. Surprised, she realizes that she can now read all the system information. Rin tries to calm herself and reflect on her previous reaction. She realizes that phantom fowls are considered easy to deal with, which makes her feel a little embarrassed. After regaining composure, she thanks Veal for his support. When she tries to pull away, she notices he is still holding her firmly, which surprises her given the situation. Rin gets nervous about the situation, thinking she's getting too much attention for someone with so little romantic experience. However, the mood quickly shifts when she notices a threat from the sky and screams for Veal to be careful. He prepares to act, clenching his fists seriously as the monstrous birds approach. Veal acts with precision and agility, drawing his sword and delivering a clean strike to the monstrous bird approaching. Rin watches in surprise as he protects her firmly, without hesitation. The blow is clean and effective, eliminating the threat in an instant. The danger quickly disappears after Veal's precise strike. He reassures Rin with a calm look, saying everything is fine now. Still trembling, she sits down on the ground, trying to process what just happened. Veal comments that, for someone who has seen a monster for the first time, fear is natural. Rin, with tears in her eyes, looks at him and murmurs his name, moved by the protection she received. After everything calms down, Rin thanks Veal for cleaning the dirt off her with magic. Though they are covered in mud, only a few fruits at the bottom of the bag were lost. Rin wonders if, even in panic, she instinctively protected the food. Soon after, she notices a strange object wrapped in cloth. When she asks what it is, Veal explains that by defeating monsters, certain materials can be obtained as drops. These items are requested by the guild for collection missions and are later used by alchemists to create weapons or potions. For example, the feather they found could be used to make clothes or armor, while the monster's beak and claws are useful in potions. Rin understands that the world works like an RPG, with terms typical of such a game. Rin finds freshly laid eggs from a phantom fowl, considered edible and highly nutritious, though hard to crack. While analyzing the value of the ingredients, she switches to chef mode, promising to prepare the creature's meat excellently, and even apologizes to the chicks before consuming the parents. She then runs excitedly to tell Veal the news. Rin is thrilled with the freshly laid eggs, praising the magical help of the creature. Veal is surprised to learn they need to be washed, and Rin explains, somewhat embarrassed, that eggs and feces come from the same place in birds, which may leave dirt on the shell. She decides to wash the eggs and even Veal's hands, ensuring cleanliness. Excited, she celebrates that her culinary repertoire has expanded, while Veal's stomach growls from hunger. Rin decides to use the harvested fruits to make cookies. She explains that they are baked sweets and plans to use the halberries to make them delicious. Veal thinks the idea is incredible and supports it enthusiastically. Excited, Rin imagines how it will be to make her first sweet with ingredients from another world. As they walk through the forest, she reflects that, since arriving here, she hasn't had any sweets and realizes how much she misses them in a life full of tension. Rin activates her magical van and says she'll prepare everything for Veal to get on too. He's completely confused when he sees the vehicle appear. Rin, excited, asks if he would believe they could even get in and move it. Veal is speechless, while Rin celebrates the surprise with pride. Veal is in shock when he realizes that the van actually moves. He asks if it's by magic, and Rin answers that she doesn't exactly understand how it works, but the vehicle absorbs something called magicless to move. She herself reflects, unsure whether it simulates an engine or directly uses magic. Rin insists that Veal get in the van, saying that the important thing is that it moves. Veal, still skeptical, asks if he can really get in. Rin encourages him, already inside the vehicle. Even hesitant and uncomfortable, Veal finally gets in, observing everything cautiously. Veal observes the van's interior with curiosity, exploring every corner. Rin reflects that, although adventurers may seem brave and curious, they also need to be cautious. She realizes that Veal was moved by curiosity, but that's part of a true adventurer's spirit, balancing bravery with attention and prudence. Rin enters the kitchen with determination, closing the door with enthusiasm. She ignores the calories and gets excited to bake red berry and spicy ginger cookies. Even though she knows that sweets require exact measurements, she believes cookies are more forgiving and can still turn out delicious even without following everything precisely. She celebrates excitedly, ready to get her hands dirty. Rin starts preparing the cookies with excitement. Even though she has a digital scale available, she comments that a simple ratio of 2 to 1 to 1 between flour, sugar, and butter would be enough. She washes 2 handfuls of halberries, separates 2 bowls with balanced mixtures of flour and sugar, and decides to make cookies with the freshly collected eggs. For a special touch, she adds spices like ground ginger, cardamom, nutmeg, allspice, and cinnamon. Thus, the adventure in the kitchen truly begins. Rin realizes that the butter she's using is replenishing itself on its own, which surprises her. She recalls that the same thing happened with the barley tea and the rice jar, which also refilled after use. Curious, she starts to suspect that this could be the work of the mysterious magic particles called magicules. As she gets excited about the incredible convenience of the trailer's kitchen, Veal watches silently and, resigned, says they should get back to work. Rin comments that the oven is already preheated and starts preparing the butter, explaining that placing it in the oven at this moment helps make the final result softer. She mixes the butter with small amounts of sugar, letting air in while stirring, until it forms a creamy emulsion. Veal watches, impressed by her skill, while Rin explains that this step helps make the cookies have the ideal crunchy texture if done correctly. Rin continues preparing the dough while Veal watches. She comments that, with practice, even he could do this, as it's a common technique in her original world. A little of the mixture flies and hits his hand, but he says it doesn't bother him. Then Veal tastes the butter and sugar mixture and comments that it's sweet, which surprises Rin, who asks if he doesn't like sweets. Veal replies that he doesn't hate them. Rin then mentions that butter and sugar are heavy on calories, but at least they have weight, which could be useful. Rin instructs Veal to be careful so the eggs don't coagulate and shows him how to divide them with a spatula. Impressed by the bright orange color of the eggs, she comments that they look like the best she's ever seen. Seeing Veal with nothing to do, she asks him to drain the moisture from the halberries. Meanwhile, Rin starts preparing the dough for another type of cookie, sifting a finer flour and saying that the motto of her family's kitchen is to involve anyone who's free in the chores. Veal finishes draining the halberries, and Rin carefully mixes them into the dough to avoid crushing them. Then she incorporates the flour until the texture becomes less dry and celebrates. The dough is ready. With everything done, she puts the cookies in the oven. Inside, the cookies begin to melt and bake, making frying sounds as they slowly brown. While waiting for the cookies to bake, Rin comments that watching sweets being made reminds her of her childhood when she would watch her mother cook. Veal observes silently, touched by her memories. Patiently, they wait the necessary time until the cookies are ready. As soon as the oven beeps, Rin gets excited and opens the door, revealing the golden, delicious cookies. The sweet and tangy aroma of the freshly baked cookies fills the air, making Veal restless. Rin, excited with the result, wonders if it's time to eat. Veal tries to wait, but the smell drives him to despair, staring at the cookies with hunger. Even warning that they're still hot, Rin gives in and suggests they eat them right away. Veal, in a panic of anticipation, prepares for the attack. Rin proudly hands Veal a tray of freshly baked cookies. He takes the first bite and is visibly surprised. The flavor captivates him immediately, The cookies are crunchy on the outside and soft on the inside. He becomes excited, eating more and enthusiastically praising the recipe. Meanwhile, Rin also tries one, trying not to burn herself with the heat. Both are enchanted with the result. The cookies surprise with their texture, crunchy on the edges and soft inside thanks to the eggs. Rin savors every bite, feeling the contrast between the sweetness and the tanginess of the halberries, which leave a strong flavor. She gets excited by the explosion of flavors, while Veal also eats happily. Each bite is a sweet and juicy experience, hard to stop. Rin gets excited about the smell of the cookies and comments that she wishes she could have coffee with them. She wonders if this drink exists in this world too. Meanwhile, Veal eats all the cookies, leaving the plate empty. He admits they were so good he couldn't stop. Rin, shocked, decides that next time she will save some just for herself. While the cookies bake in the oven, Rin takes the opportunity to ask Veal about the world they're in. She wants to understand more about the place and also about his story. Veal agrees and says he will tell her. Veal explains that the place they're in is called Riesfeld, a slightly larger version of an island nation. According to him, Riesfeld is surrounded by the sea, which means it has little contact with other species. In the past, elves and dwarves fled there to escape human persecution in other lands, and over time, humans also joined them. Thus, Riesfeld became a place where several races coexist. Veal continues explaining that Riesfeld used to be an uninhabited land full of monsters. Over time, non-human races started to inhabit it and changed the perception people had of them. Today, they trade with several countries. Veal remembers that when he first saw these races, he was treated as an equal. Rin listens attentively and becomes excited, saying she's memorized everything. Veal shows Rin the city of Elag, one of the largest in the continent, known for housing many non-human species. It's a port city where various products are exchanged, and Veal calls it the City of Peace. He explains that it's a place where adventurers gather, and where there are more people, jobs, and information. Rin becomes excited to be learning more about the country thanks to Veal. Rin asks Veal if there's anything with caffeine in this world, explaining how coffee is in her world. Veal responds that it's similar to incense tea, sold in stores and made with bitter red grains and roasted and boiled leaves. He warns that it's a bit expensive because it comes from the south. Rin gets excited to know that there's tea around, celebrating enthusiastically. Rin gets excited and decides to save money to maintain a civilized diet with tea. Meanwhile, she comments that she'll settle for herbal teas made from local wild plants for now. Veal warns her that mixing different leaves makes each one lose its individuality. Then, Rin asks how long it takes to get to the city of Elag by foot, and Veal responds, about 3 days. Rin calculates that, walking 8 hours a day at 4 kilometers per hour, they would take about 3 days to cover 96 kilometers. Veal is shocked by the idea, but Rin surprises him by saying that with the camper van it would take just over 3 hours. She explains that, although the road is unpaved, it's well used, and it's easy to drive, just like she did last time. Rin decides it's the right time to leave, since it's still light out, and the road conditions could help them arrive faster. With the cookies ready, she walks excitedly toward the vehicle. Veal, confused, asks where she's going. She replies casually that she's going to the driver's seat, while he's shocked that she thinks it's possible to drive a camper cabin. Rin gazes at the peaceful landscape in front of the lake, takes a deep breath, and tells herself she's ready. With determination in her eyes and a smile on her face, she prepares to move forward. Then, confidently, she asks, "Shall we go?" As Rin drives, Veal hesitates to use the seatbelt, claiming that if they are attacked by a monster or a bandit, he won't be able to move fast enough. Rin understands his concern, but tries to convince him that the seatbelt is also meant to protect him from crashes and accidents. She reinforces that, besides monsters, they also need to fear collisions. Rin prepares to drive the vehicle, confident in her golden license. Veal still seems worried, but Rin reassures him by saying that the vehicle has a magical effect that prevents monsters from approaching. With that, she starts the engine excitedly, while Veal watches, surprised by the movement. They continue their journey, hoping not to encounter any monsters along the way. Veal looks out the window, enchanted by the view. He comments that the place is beautiful and is surprised by the comfort of the seat, saying he's never felt such good cushioning. Comparing it to the carriages from his world, He affirms that this experience is incomparable, even though the vehicle's shaking still bothers him. During the trip, Rin comments on the speed and comfort of the road, even without a sophisticated suspension system. Veal explains that they are already on the main road, which connects the King's Land to the rest of the country. Rin notices that the road seems like a kind of strategic detour, and Veal adds that, being an important trade route, it's natural that it's in good condition. As they move forward with the vehicle, Rin notices an increase in the number of carts and people on the road. Veal confirms that this indicates they are getting closer to the city of Elag. However, Rin begins to worry about the traffic and the cramped space, finding the situation a bit dangerous. Rin starts worrying about the traffic, realizing that since their vehicle is invisible, other carts might accidentally collide with them. She imagines possible dangerous situations and panics, saying she doesn't want to deal with that kind of stress. Veal, seeing her desperation, proposes a suggestion to solve the situation. Veal suggests that the best thing is to stop before they reach the city of Elag and proceed on foot. They conclude that making the vehicle visible would also cause confusion and attract unwanted attention. So they decide to discreetly disembark outside the gates to avoid accidents and questions. Rin decides to leave the paved road and drive along the unpaved side to avoid the carts in the city. With a sudden maneuver, she warns Veal to hold tight, leaving him confused by the situation. Rin and Veal finally arrive at the port city of Elag. Upon seeing the massive walls surrounding the entrance, Rin is completely impressed by the grandeur of the place. Rin is in awe of seeing Elag from the inside, comparing the city to the worlds of games and cartoons. Veal brings her back to reality and guides her to where they will stay, which is very close by. While Rin admired the city's walls, Veal had already completed all the entrance procedures. She is surprised to realize that she didn't even need to show identification or go through a status verification, which would normally be required in cities like this. Veal tells Rin that he will show her the city later, but for now, they need to head straight to their main destination. He holds her hand and comments that if he let her explore alone, she'd get lost, and it would take too long. Rin apologizes for causing trouble, and they continue together. Rin is enchanted by the city, saying she's never seen anything like it. Veal notices she's distracted and asks if everything's all right, but reassures her that he doesn't find it annoying. Rin apologizes for always looking around, but explains that everything is so new and curious to her. Meanwhile, the manga shows the streets and canals of the city, highlighting the exotic and beautiful atmosphere of the place. As she walks through the city streets, Rin realizes how different everything is there. Most of the people passing by seem to be elves or dwarves, but there are also people with ears, tails, and even scales. Fascinated, she can't stop staring. She's excited about every new person she meets, as if it were a completely new world to her. Rin and Veal finally reach the center of Elag City, a beautiful place filled with elegant buildings along the canal. Veal shows her the house where they'll be staying, a large, imposing mansion that looks like a castle. Rin is impressed by the size of the place. Veal leads Rin to the entrance of the house and explains that it was an old mansion owned by a rich man who died mysteriously, so now it's being rented. Rin casually comments that it looks like a gathering spot for adventurers. Veal then opens the door and announces their return loudly. As they enter the house, Veal and Rin are greeted by a group of people who are surprised by his early return. One of the members complains that Veal arrived earlier than expected and even demands a souvenir. Veal apologizes for forgetting, but reveals that he brought a substitute, pointing to Rin. Meanwhile, one of the companions mentions that they were taking the opportunity to spend more time with Arya. Veal introduces Rin as someone useful to the group, a baggage helper who also knows how to cook. The women around her react curiously, moving closer to evaluate Rin. Veal explains that he was desperate and brought her along. He also emphasizes that her food was delicious, which surprises the others. Rin becomes extremely nervous being surrounded by beautiful people, both men and women. One of the guys is surprised that she actually came, while others dramatically joke that their eyes hurt from the shine. Rin, embarrassed, asks not to be stared at and thinks she can't handle being in this environment full of such beautiful people. One of the girls in the group holds Rin's hand and comments on how soft it is, noticing that it's cold. Rin thinks she might be sensitive to the cold. Then, the girl approaches intensely, looks into Rin's eyes, and seriously asks if it's true that she knows how to cook. asking her to prove her skills. Rin watches the two new members of the group with admiration. The red-haired guy seems energetic and charismatic, with a well-proportioned face and vivid expressions that give him a youthful air. She calls him handsome. The blonde woman stands out for her elegant posture and attractive body, with a cold and flawless beauty, resembling a noble lady. Rin describes her as too beautiful, comparing her to Snow. Rin realizes that it's not just Arya who eats a lot. Ed and Sinyan also have enormous appetites, which makes her wonder how much they can eat. She then observes Sinyan more closely. His elegant beauty and refined appearance make him seem like a character from a book, with such perfect features that seem unreal. But Rin remembers, surprised, how he devoured roasted meat with his hands, thinking this was quite contradictory to his beautiful elf and well-mannered appearance. Arya begins asking a series of excited questions about Rin's culinary skills. If she knows how to cook, grill meat, and even prepare fish. Rin hesitates at first, but soon confidently states that she can do all that, including other methods beyond grilling. Impressed, Arya lights up with excitement, and Rin, excited by the reaction, offers to prepare something with meat, in case there's still room in their stomachs. Rin reveals that she needs a lot of ingredients, leaving everyone surprised by the amount. Even so, Veal comments that luckily there's space in the garden to summon the camper van. He checks with Rin to confirm if everything's all right, and she accepts, though feeling a little awkward as she realizes she might have asked too much. Veal asks if Lin isn't tired, but she insists she's fine. She believes it's better for the others to try her food before being fully accepted into the group, to avoid regrets on both sides. Veal agrees, saying that if Lin is willing, it's like a wish come true for him. He encourages her to go ahead. Lin decides to cook inside the vehicle, but this causes confusion among the group. They find it suspicious that someone suddenly disappears from their field of view and reappears out of nowhere. Veal explains that to outsiders, it does look strange. Lin is confused, not understanding what she did wrong, but she acknowledges that disappearing like that might indeed draw attention. Veal explains that he can see the trailer because it's registered to set up, so he doesn't feel uncomfortable, but admits that for anyone who doesn't know about Lin's ability, it seems pretty strange. Lin apologizes for what happened, but Veal replies that the others understood after he explained. He reinforces that making mistakes is part of it, and the important thing is to be more careful next time. Lin thanks him, promising to pay more attention to the choice of location. Lin asks if there's firewood to cook, and Veal says there should be some in the kitchen, then goes to fetch it. Upon returning with the firewood, he asks what she plans to prepare. Lin responds excitedly that she'll make yakitori using phantom fowl meat. Veal is surprised and excited, shouting, "Meat!" The group members react excitedly when they hear that Lin will prepare yakitori, especially when they learn it will be made with phantom fowl meat. Lin comments that the sweet and salty flavor goes well with alcoholic drinks. She then begins to prepare the campfire, carefully arranging the fine firewood to ensure good air circulation. Lin lights the campfire using a roll of paper as tinder and embers from the fire extinguisher. When the fire gains strength, she begins adding larger pieces of wood. Once the fire is ready, she prepares to cook enough meat for 5 people, washing her hands and organizing the ingredients. Lin cuts the chicken meat into small pieces and mixes it with soy sauce, sugar, cumin, and coriander seeds to enhance the flavor. She thinks that if they accept the taste of soy sauce, her seasoned rice will also be well received. However, she remembers that people who aren't used to it might find the unique flavors strange, even though soy sauce and miso are common seasonings for Japanese people. Lin hopes everyone will accept the flavor well, as the seasoning resembles teriyaki, with a sweet and salty touch. While waiting for the fire to stabilize, she takes advantage of the spice box being in the van and starts preparing everything. Once the fire is lower, she skewers the seasoned chicken pieces on barbecue sticks. Calculating for 5 people, she decides 5 skewers will be enough. Lin begins grilling the skewers. The fat drips into the flames, making crackling sounds, while the smell of soy sauce toasting spreads through the air. Veal watches in surprise, and the others, upon smelling the aroma, are impressed. Arya, enchanted, compliments her. The smell is wonderful. The smell of grilling meat catches everyone's attention. They are surprised to realize that someone in the group really knows how to cook. Arya observes Lin admiringly, noticing how she handles everything so easily. Meanwhile, Ed and Vil, embarrassed, can't argue. Lin, embarrassed by the shining looks of admiration, tries to hide her bashfulness with a forced smile. Lin starts to panic from the compliments, thinking she only cut and grilled the meat. Nothing special. She regrets not having had time to marinate it with grated onions or add tomatoes and lettuce. Still, everyone praises the yakitori made with phantom fowl meat, which is browning on the grill with a juicy appearance. She repeatedly questions if she really deserves so much recognition. Lin offers the grilled meat skewers to the others, explaining that it's a simple dish similar to yakitori. The companions eagerly accept, thanking her excitedly. Veal also grabs one, thanking her seriously, while Lin apologizes for the group's excited behavior. She gets nervous seeing the blonde woman about to try the yakitori, waiting for her reaction with anticipation. The blonde woman tries the yakitori and is moved by the flavor, praising the food with tears in her eyes. The group is surprised by her reaction, especially considering how something so simple can be so delicious. Meanwhile, Lin watches the elf from afar, curious about his reaction. He tries the yakitori elegantly and contained, keeping a serene expression as he carefully savors the food. The elf quickly eats the yakitori, maintaining a refined posture, which surprises Lin. Meanwhile, the others begin drinking mugs of beer and enjoying the meal. One of the guys drinks intensely, alternating between sips and bites of the skewer, showing that the combination of food and drink is perfect for the group. After tasting the yakitori, the guy enthusiastically praises it, giving a thumbs up. Lin watches the group's reaction and notices that they're eating non-stop with happy expressions, which relieves her and makes her satisfied with the result. Feeling that the tension has passed, she finally decides to eat too, excited and confident. Lin tries the yakitori and is surprised by the tenderness of the meat, even though it's fresh. She tastes the sweet flavor of the sugar blending with the juices from the meat, and thanks to the spices, there is no strong or gamey taste. Without realizing it, she finishes eating it much faster than she expected, surprised to see the skewer empty in her hand. After trying the yakitori, the long-haired woman hugs Lin unexpectedly, emotionally, and declares that she loved the food. Lin is completely shocked by the intense and unexpected reaction. Rin is completely paralyzed by the tight hug from the woman, feeling her chest pressing against hers. Confused and embarrassed, she starts to mentally collapse from the unexpected situation, until, unable to take it anymore, she emotionally explodes and returns the hug in an exaggerated manner, carried away by the impulse. After everyone praises the barbecue made by Rin, the woman says she's looking forward to the next meals. Rin responds excitedly, and even the quiet elf acknowledges the excellence of the meat. With that, Veal understands she's been accepted by the group. He then invites Rin to go inside and introduce herself officially to the others, and she agrees eagerly. Rin introduces herself to the group, saying she was recruited as the cook and promises to do her best. Everyone reacts positively. Ed, excited, says he eats everything. Arya comments that she likes undercooked meat and sweets, and Senyon is polite and welcoming. The atmosphere between them is light and warm. Rin tries to interact with everyone, reinforcing the importance of introductions, but she realizes the group is mostly focused on the food, as they only praise the grilled meat. This makes her nervous, thinking that now they expect a lot from her. Meanwhile, Senyon invites Vil to join him on a collection mission in the nearby forest the next day. Vil accepts the invitation and says he'll accompany Senyon. However, he remembers that Rin will need an identification card to leave through the main gates. Rin panics when she realizes she doesn't have any official documents, but soon Vil suggests it's better to go to the guild and get an ID for her. Everyone agrees with the plan. Arya asks if they are leaving already, suggesting that Rin could register before they depart. Senyon says it's better to do it now because if they leave it for later, Vil will probably forget. Ed agrees, saying that if someone gets too excited about food, they might forget. Rin finds the comment a bit harsh, but understands the reason. Vil, however, responds that he doesn't mind. Senyon informs that the meeting point will be at the main gate at 6 o'clock. Since the mission doesn't involve dangerous enemies, he explains that there's no need to carry excessive equipment. Rin notices how competent and organized Senyon is, handling everything without needing reminders. She's also surprised that he's both handsome and skilled, thinking that's unfair. Arya and Ed say their goodbyes enthusiastically, and Rin notices how the two seem like a married couple. Vil extends his hand to Rin and says they should go. She's surprised but tries to justify to herself that it's just so she doesn't get lost. There are no second intentions. Still, she notices the other members of the group looking at them with strange expressions, which makes her uncomfortable. The guy walks quickly through the streets, pulling Rin by the hand. She tries to keep up, but ends up falling behind, panting and stumbling. When they stop, he notices her effort and apologizes for not thinking about her pace. Rin, tired and frustrated, complains inwardly about people with long legs. Despite this, she thanks him politely, while he acknowledges the mistake and apologizes again. Rin realizes she's out of breath and begins reflecting that she needs to improve her physical endurance. She thinks that, in addition to cooking and carrying luggage, she also needs to keep up with the group on walks. She decides she should take exercise more seriously. Meanwhile, she wonders how they got through the main gate. The guy explains that he showed his identification and said she wanted to become an adventurer, which made it easier for them to enter. Vil explains that it's important for Rin to get her adventurer's card soon to avoid any problems. She realizes that, since he's acting as her guardian, any mistake she makes would also have consequences for him. Rin then decides to hurry. Since she still doesn't understand the world well or how to communicate, she leaves everything in his hands. Vil concludes that, for now, they will present her as just an ordinary person from afar. Vil decides they will use a fabricated story to explain Rin's presence. She would be traveling alone, and he found her, thinking her skills would be useful for carrying baggage. Rin even considers telling the truth that she was summoned as a saint from another world, but soon realizes that this idea would be too absurd. Vil reinforces that lying is safer than taking risks. When she asks how to register at the guild, he replies that they use truth verification magic, which surprises her. Rin understands that since there is no status verification system, like in mangas, they use magic to verify the truth in documents. This magic is used during adventurer registration, confirming whether the information written is true or false. Even if someone else writes the details, the system can verify it accurately. Rin concludes that's why this method became standard in this world. Rin thinks about the story they are going to tell and realizes that, even though it's a lie, many parts are true. She came from another world. She was left alone. Thought about using her skills to help with luggage, and even the trailer she used could carry things. This makes her feel less guilty about lying. A little surprised, she hears someone complimenting her preparation. Meanwhile, Vil continues guiding Rin, saying they are almost there. Rin and Vil reach a large and imposing building. They enter, and Rin is captivated by the spacious and elegant interior of the place. Soon, someone greets Vil, showing that he's already known there. Upon entering the guild, a friendly and cute staff member with a dog-like appearance greets them, asking if they're there for something related to the Adventurer Guild. Rin is surprised to see such a cute creature wearing an apron and a hat, as if she were out of a fantasy story. Vil confirms that he wants to register again, and mentions that the staff member is a kobold, asking if it's Rin's first time seeing one. She continues to be amazed, as if in a fairy tale. Rin is directed to fill out a form at the table, but gets confused by the strange characters. Thinking about asking Vil for help, she suddenly realizes something surprising. Even though she doesn't recognize the symbols, she can understand what's written. Shocked and excited, she discovers that she can also write in the language of this world, even though she's never seen it before. Rin finishes filling out the form and hands it to the staff member, still amazed that she could read and write in a language she had never seen. The kobold checks the document and confirms that there are no errors. Then she asks Rin to place her hand on the paper to begin the truth verification process, making Rin even more nervous about the procedure. When Rin places her hand on the form, the staff member activates the truth verification with energy and enthusiasm. Startled, Rin almost pulls her hand away, but Vil warns her to keep it steady. Then, a magical aura begins to glow around her and the paper, marking the start of the validation process. Rin watches everything carefully, feeling a little nervous. The truth verification is completed successfully, and no false information is found. The staff member officially registers Rin as a baggage carrier. Relieved, Rin thanks her with a smile. The kobold expresses her happiness at helping a newcomer after such a long time and wishes her good luck, saying she trusts Rin for being with people like Vil. Rin receives her guild registration badge, which shows her name, position, and the guild she belongs to. Even though she doesn't understand the characters, she can still read and write naturally, which confuses her. Despite the surreal moment, she decides not to worry about it now. As she looks at the object, she notices something strange attached behind the badge and wonders if it's a paper. Rin says goodbye to Sheila, who offers to help if Rin needs anything related to the guild. Vil comments that Sheila is an experienced receptionist, known for taking good care of the newcomers. Rin is shocked to learn that Sheila has worked there for 20 years, even though she looks so young. Vil explains that kobolds don't change much in appearance and usually look like children. Impressed, Rin concludes that this world is full of surprises. Rin realizes she's hungry and remembers that they've only had skewers so far. Vil, being attentive, invites her to eat something in the city. Rin hesitates, worried about not having money, but Vil reassures her. He says it's a gesture of gratitude for the meal she prepared earlier, and also an opportunity for her, as a cook, to try dishes made by others. Vil takes Rin to the Wildcat Inn, a place he recommends because it has good reviews. Rin is surprised by the size of the place, thinking it looks like a big restaurant. Vil explains that the place functions as a tavern, a dining hall, and a lodging at the same time, frequented not only by adventurers but also by common people. Rin enters excitedly, curious about the busy and cozy environment. While they're sitting, Vil asks if Rin has any dietary restrictions. She replies that she doesn't have preferences and can eat anything. Vil comments that adventurers sometimes need to eat anything to survive, and Rin understands that reality. When it comes to drinks, Vil suggests they have beer, but Rin chooses a fruit water, admitting that she likes alcohol but prefers something lighter at the moment. Rin decides not to drink alcohol, still feeling nervous about everything around her, but promises herself she will try it in the future when she gets more accustomed to the new world. Soon after, their order arrives, a gigantic plate of various fried foods. Surprised, she and Vil stare at the mountain of food served as if it were unbelievable. As they eat, Vil explains that many adventurers don't have money, so they bring ingredients to trade for food and drinks. The tavern in turn takes advantage of offering varied and cheap dishes, which also attracts other customers. Rin is impressed by the system, thinking it's very beneficial for everyone. Still worried about the cost, she hesitates. But Vil assures her that he'll cover the meal for the day and can deduct it from the mission payment later. Relieved that she doesn't need to worry about the cost, Rin becomes excited and begins eating eagerly. Vil also accepts the offer and decides to enjoy the meal. They serve themselves while everything is still hot. Rin picks a special shrimp known as curse shrimp and some deep-fried red turnip dumplings. Everything is served with a special sauce from the inn, along with juice from a fruit similar to lemon and a touch of coarse salt on top. Rin excitedly prepares to try food from this new world for the first time. She takes a bite of the battered shrimp and is immediately taken by its strong and pleasant aroma. The crispy crust contrasts with the juicy and slightly undercooked inside, releasing a delicious shrimp broth. Delighted by the explosion of flavors, she enjoys each bite with pleasure. Rin relishes the fried food, praising its balanced and rich flavor. She tries the battered red turnip, which has a sweet touch and a crispy skin, with a soft and warm inside. Even though fried food is usually heavy, the lightness of the batter and the citrusy touch of the lemon sauce make everything taste lighter and more flavorful. She's enchanted by the texture and taste, thinking she could eat this forever. After the meal, Rin drinks the cold fruit water with a peach flavor and enters pure ecstasy. She feels as though all the world's worries have disappeared, completely relaxed and happy. To her, this feeling is the true meaning of life. Vil observes, with a confused expression, surprised by how much Rin is enjoying something so simple. Vil remembers about the room for Rin to sleep, but mentions that the available rooms don't have bed linens. Rin calmly responds that she'll sleep in her trailer, which surprises Vil with her practicality. As they talk, he notices that the large portion of fried food, which seemed too much for two, is disappearing quickly, showing just how much Rin is enjoying the meal. Vil says goodbye with a calm, "Let's go," while other adventurers also bid Rin farewell, excited for the next meal together. She looks at her new guild card, remembering that if something happens, she should go to the guild. Motivated and with a strong heart, she looks at the night sky and promises herself she will do her best on the collection mission scheduled for the next day. Rin, still enchanted by the truth verification magic, comments on how amazing it is to activate everything just by placing her hand on the paper. Suddenly, Sheila notices something strange and asks if Rin cut her finger. Upon examining her hand, Rin suddenly faints, leaving everyone shocked. Vil rushes to her, concerned, trying to understand what happened. Rin appears excited, showing off her new clothes with pride, full of energy and confidence. But soon after, reality hits. She remembers that she bought everything with Vil's money. Embarrassed, she curls up in the corner of the room, overwhelmed with regret and guilt. Vil comments that Rin's current outfit draws a lot of attention and would be uncomfortable to walk around in the cape all the time. So he suggests buying new clothes soon. Rin hesitates because of the money, but ends up going along with the situation and agrees. Even though she doesn't know if she'll be able to pay for it with the mission's reward, she promises to repay the amount properly. In the end, she thanks him formally and sincerely, embarrassed but determined to fulfill her part. Senyon and the other adventurers receive a collection mission, which consists of gathering items and delivering them to the guild. This type of request is common and can be adjusted for both beginners and experienced adventurers. In addition, extra items can also be sold to the guild. Vil explains that once they reach the location, everyone should spread out as they see fit, but emphasizes that Rin should stay in a pair with him, as it will be safer for her. The group reaches a nearby forest outside of Elag to complete the collection mission. Each person decides to explore a different area to optimize the search for items. One of the adventurers points in a direction and says he will go that way, while another says goodbye with a smile, mentioning they'll search in another part of the forest. Rin watches quietly as everyone prepares for the task. Rin becomes a little concerned when she sees the group splitting up so much in the forest, wondering if it's really safe. Vil explains that there aren't many strong monsters in that area, as it's frequently used by adventurers for collection missions. Therefore, the area is relatively safe, with few real dangers or threatening magical creatures. Rin calms down a bit with this explanation and continues the walk beside him. Vil explains that although there are monsters in the forest, they avoid humans and live deeper within, making encounters less likely. Rin comments that she thought subjugation missions would be safe, but Vil reinforces that if he's absent and the group faces a strong enemy, it could be a problem. He illustrates how the team would be vulnerable without his presence on the front lines. Concluding, he says that when it comes to safety, it's better to always keep a margin of caution. Vil begins the mission and informs everyone they'll start collecting the requested items around the area. Rin, excited, responds with a "got it," and gets ready but quickly thinks it might be safer to stay close to Vil, out of fear of monsters. The group begins using their survival skills to search for materials, and Rin starts her part of the mission with energy, but still cautious. Rin finds mushrooms called tiratake and runs to Vil to ask if they can be sold. Vil confirms that they can, but says they're not worth much. About 100 grams yields only 5 iron coins. Rin is confused by the value, as she still doesn't understand the prices of this new world. Vil tries to assess the buying price, but also acknowledges it's not something of great value. Rin begins to understand the currency system of this new world better. The currency is divided into iron, copper, silver, gold, and rarely platinum. 10 iron coins are worth 1 copper. A light meal costs about 5 iron coins, and a night in a simple inn costs 2 copper coins. There are also smaller coins called zeni, which are not officially recognized, and platinum coins used only in very large transactions. Rin, now more aware of the values, feels ready to handle anything. Rin learns that 100 grams of tiratake is equivalent to a light meal, while 400 grams can cover a night at an inn and still secure a more luxurious meal. Vil explains that the measurement system is similar to Japan's, using G for weight and M for length. In addition, they can search for special mushrooms called ruby fungus, which have a higher value and can earn extra money if there are leftovers. Rin absorbs all the information, surprised by how everything works so practically. Excited by the idea of earning a luxurious meal, Rin runs deeper into the forest to find the coveted ruby fungus mushrooms. Even with Vil's warning not to stray too far, she lets her excitement take over. Soon she finds what she was looking for: mushrooms with bright red caps and yellow stems, exactly as Vil had described. She looks at them with sparkling eyes, excited to have found something so valuable. Rin compares the tirataki mushrooms with the valuable ruby fungus. Although the tirataki seems simple and has a mild taste, she discovers it's safe and has a pleasant aroma. Since it doesn't draw attention and the profit is low, she decides to leave them for personal consumption. Excited, she starts collecting a large amount, saying enthusiastically that they'll enjoy this low profit for a good meal. Rin activates the survival sand system to search for more edible items and feels an alert when she approaches something useful. She gets excited when she finds a herb called kuroyamogi, recognizing it immediately. The system shows that the plant is edible and has several medicinal applications. Although the mature leaves are bitter, only the young leaves are ideal for eating. Rin vibrates with excitement from the discovery, happy to have found something so useful. Rin is thrilled when she finds kuroyamogi and declares that she can't ignore it. She remembers that this plant is a reliable partner for moxibustion treatments, an acupuncture technique. Although it's not ideal for direct moxibustion, she thinks she can use it in indirect forms or for heat compresses. With that, Rin decides she must secure this plant no matter what, even if the final result isn't top quality. Her excitement is so great that she starts celebrating in the middle of the forest. Rin is overcome with motivation when she realizes the usefulness of kuroyamogi. She wants to collect both the young and mature leaves, as the plant can even be used in sweets. Excited by the idea, she runs eagerly to tell Vil-san, shouting his name while he watches, not fully understanding the reason for her excitement. Vil explains that kuroyamogi is used to make antidotes and medicinal ointments, but it's not very valuable, as it grows anywhere and anyone can collect it. He mentions that its value is only equivalent to a child's allowance. Rin, excited to be able to use it without restrictions, eagerly runs off, determined to gather as much of the plant as possible. Rin feels something is wrong when the system issues a danger alert. She gets scared, but quickly sees Vil approaching and calms down, remembering that he's with her. Vil notices something strange in the air and calmly tells her to leave everything to him, ready to protect her. Rin encounters a giant creature that looks like a frog. Upon reading the description, she learns it's an edible giant frog. Despite its terrifying size, it is slow and not very dangerous unless provoked. Still, Rin panics upon facing the creature up close, completely disgusted by the situation. Rin observes the giant frogs and admits that she has no problem touching regular frogs, but their size and lifeless eyes make her uncomfortable. Although she knows they aren't dangerous unless touched, the fact that they secrete toxins and have no appealing taste discourages her. Still, something on the ground catches her attention, making her stop and look closer. Rin concludes that the giant frog isn't worth the effort, since its meat is tasteless even after being prepared. Vil reinforces that, although it's not dangerous if ignored, it's not worth fighting. Since there's no culinary or commercial value, they decide to just leave it alone. Rin watches the frog move away slowly, still suspicious. Rin watches the frog retreat and sighs with relief, collapsing into Vil's arms. Even though she knows it wasn't dangerous, she admits that she's still afraid of these creatures. Then she asks Vil about a curiosity. The bird was called a monster the day before, but the frog is categorized as a magical creature. Confused, she wants to know the difference between the two terms. Vil explains that normal creatures with magical power are called magical creatures, while beings with magical power and abilities similar to techniques are classified as monsters. He adds that, although it's not an exact rule, creatures seem to evolve from normal to magical, and then transform into monsters. Rin understands, and comments, that's why the milk trout Chan was so big. Magical creatures are generally larger and stronger, even if they don't have special abilities. Rin confirms that the giant frog is indeed a magical creature. She starts remembering large fish from her previous world, like trouts and steelheads, and wonders if something similar exists here too. Vil asks her not to wander too far, as there could still be danger nearby. Rin thanks him and apologizes for worrying him. Then with a smile, she asks if she can collect more kuroyamogi. Vil watches Rin with a serious expression, while she continues collecting kuroyamogi, even though she knows the profit from it is small. Feeling his gaze, Rin becomes a little nervous and promises to explain later why she's so determined. Still, she focuses again, eager to practice something she loves: acupuncture. Rin starts imagining how great it would be to find pre-made stainless steel acupuncture needles. She even dreams of a full set of models. Although she knows it's unlikely to find something like that lying around, she continues picking the herbs, sighing because she can't practice acupuncture. When Vil notices she seems down, he approaches with concern, but Rin simply leans against him, still lost in her thoughts. Rin says she's fine and explains she got distracted while picking kuroyamogi. Vil comments that he was worried when he saw her standing still suddenly. She promises to be more careful. Then, Rin asks if it's time to prepare dinner, and upon confirming it, she gets excited and says she will start cooking, wanting to make the first meal with so many people since she arrived in this world. Vil asks if they have enough ingredients, and Rin responds enthusiastically that they do. She says that besides the ingredients they have on hand, they still have the meat they received earlier. Vil suggests cooking at the meeting point, and Rin agrees eagerly, already thinking about what she will prepare. Rin walks alone through an open landscape while thinking to herself. She remembers that, thanks to Vil's kind words, the meal will inevitably be outdoors. And since he mentioned it, she mentally comments that they don't even need to say they can use the van as shelter this time. Rin takes a deep breath, enjoying the fresh air of the field and the clear sky. She feels as though they have all that immense space just for themselves. Excited by the sense of freedom, she smiles and decides she wants to eat like it's a picnic. Rin starts thinking about the difficulties of cooking outdoors, since the terrain doesn't have much exposed soil. Although they have a campfire, she worries about sparks causing a fire, so she considers cooking inside the vehicle. She also thinks about preparing something that can be eaten with rice, without needing too many side dishes, as using plates and utensils outside is inconvenient. Rin decides that lunch will be takikomi gohan, a Japanese seasoned rice dish cooked with other ingredients. Vil calmly accepts the suggestion, and Rin is happy that he keeps the conversation flowing without disrupting her excitement. With the dish decided, she gets excited and prepares to start cooking inside the vehicle. During preparations for lunch, a huge monster in the shape of a fish appears, surprising everyone. Rin gets soaked with the arrival of the creature. Vil explains that the group was called to the location after receiving a request to exterminate the monster, which had been causing destruction near a spring. Now, they need to find a way to defeat it. After defeating the fish monster, the group inspects the creature's gelatinous meat. They all wonder if it's really edible, as its appearance doesn't look appetizing. However, Rin confidently assures them that, according to her skill, the fish is delicious, especially if fried. The blonde girl asks if the fish will really taste good. Rin responds excitedly and with a confident smile, saying to leave it to her. The two exchange a look full of confidence and head for the camp van kitchen, ready to begin preparing the meal. Rin is frying pieces of the monster fish with great care, cutting, dipping in batter, and placing them in hot oil. The blonde girl watches from a distance, a little anxious. After a few seconds, she approaches emotionally, calls Rin insistently, and says she fought well in the battle, as if seeking recognition or praise for her effort. The blonde girl asks if she can receive a reward, which leaves Rin surprised and confused. When she understands, Rin offers the freshly fried tempura as a gift, asking the blonde girl to try it. Upon seeing the dish, the blonde girl is delighted and sincerely thanks her, saying it's a wonderful reward. Rin smiles, happy with her reaction. Rin hands the tempura to the blonde girl, asking her to blow on it before eating and sprinkle a little salt. Upon tasting it, the blonde girl becomes emotional, saying it's delicious. Rin also gets excited by the reaction and decides to eat a piece. The tempura has white meat inside, no bad smell, and a soft texture, surprising everyone with its quality. Rin tries the tempura and is amazed. The skin, which had seemed dull before, became soft and elastic with the heat of frying. The meat melts in the mouth with a slight sweetness, and the fat between the skin and meat enhances the flavor with umami. As she swallows, she feels the dish smoothly going down to her stomach. With a happy smile, she and the blonde girl shout together, "Delicious!" Arya doesn't understand what tempura rice bowls are, but upon tasting the dish, she confidently declares that it's definitely delicious. She has no idea what the concept is, but she knows how to recognize something tasty. And soon Vil arrives with two more companions, saying that dinner is ready. Arya gets excited and immediately starts talking about the monster hunting mission the next day. The final scene has a light and cheerful atmosphere. Vil asks which ingredients they should use for the takikomi gohan. Rin responds excitedly that she'll use the freshly picked hiratakes and almiraj meat, which excites him when he hears the word meat. Rin begins preparing the mushrooms, remembering that washing them with water can reduce their aroma and flavor. So she opts to just remove the dirt to preserve the taste. Rin turns on the tap and gets excited when the water flows normally, leaving Vil surprised by the technology. He asks if she did this, and Rin smiles, confirming. After cleaning the mushrooms, She prefers to break them into smaller pieces by hand instead of using a knife, explaining that the flavor absorbs better this way. Finally, they wash their hands together, emphasizing the importance of hygiene before preparation. As the mushrooms drain in the sieve, Rin begins preparing the almiraj meat. She cuts it into small pieces and massages it with a mixture of soy sauce, sake, and sugar for marinating. The meat is very fresh thanks to refrigeration. Then she comments that it's better to cook the ingredients separately before making the takikomi gohan. Vil watches everything, somewhat awestruck by her skill in the kitchen. Vil suggests cooking everything together, but Rin insists it's better to prepare the ingredients separately. She explains that if raw ingredients are added directly, they release too much moisture, which can affect the final result. So it's important to drain them well first. With confidence, she tosses the ingredients into the pan and starts sautéing with precision, while Vil silently watches, impressed. Rin enthusiastically explains that the secret to perfect takikomi gohan is to drain the moisture from the ingredients before cooking. This prevents the rice from becoming watery and ensures that both the rice and ingredients absorb the flavor well. After sautéing the mushrooms well, she adds the marinated almiraj meat to the sauce, stating that this method guarantees flavor, texture, and a delicious final dish. Vil silently watches, admiring Rin's passion and skill in the kitchen. Rin is enchanted by the smell that fills the kitchen. The sweet aroma of soy sauce with sugar mixed with the fragrance of tiratake mushrooms, and the appetizing scent of the meat makes everything irresistible. While controlling the cooking time precisely, she explains that when the dish reaches about 80% of preparation, it's important to turn off the heat and let the meat rest in the liquid, absorbing even more flavor. Vil watches everything in surprise, and Rin, excited, calls him to share her enthusiasm. Rin offers a piece of meat for Vil to try, asking if he would like to taste it. Surprised, he agrees right away. She explains that taking a few secret bites, or rather doing a tasting, is a right of any cook. Vil tries the meat curiously, and the juicy flavor immediately surprises him. Vil is surprised by the taste. Although almiraj meat is considered wild, it doesn't have a strong flavor and is quite tasty. He notes that it has a soft, juicy texture, even better than chicken, with a touch of sweetness. The tiratake mushrooms also stand out. When prepared this way, they absorb the seasonings and become even tastier. Rin celebrates excitedly with the result. Rin watches the tiratakes cooking and is surprised to discover that, even though they are underestimated, they absorb the flavor of the meat and become delicious. The crispy texture remains even after cooking, which impresses her even more. As she tries them, she feels a mix of fear and fascination with the result, understanding how they are prepared together with the rice. Hungry, Rin and the young man decide to cook soon. They start by washing the rice, then transfer the contents of the frying pan into a bowl, separating the broth from the ingredients. Then, Rin places the broth into the washed rice and adjusts the water, remembering not to overdo it since the ingredients release moisture. She measures the amount with her finger, ensuring the right consistency. Rin comments that it's useful to know how to measure water by eye, without needing to measure the rice, which helps in situations like camping or when there's little left. She gets excited, begins talking to herself, and the young man finds it strange. Confidently, Rin finishes by putting everything in the rice cooker and says to leave the rest to her. While waiting for the rice to cook, Rin decides to go out to look for something. She finds a plant called zeramu, similar to bamboo leaves, non-poisonous but also inedible. Returning, she explains that she intends to use it as a substitute for plates, surprising the young man. Rin decides to wash the zeramu leaves with water to keep them moist, explaining that this prevents the rice balls from sticking. She also mentions that, once dried, the plant can be used as medicinal tea. Meanwhile, they eagerly await the rice to finish cooking in the rice cooker. While waiting for the rice, Rin has the idea of using the remaining eggs to make tamagoyaki. Even without a square frying pan, she manages to prepare the dish well. The young man praises her skills, and Rin says it's just practice. In the end, even with a different shape, she decides to proceed with it since the taste remains the same. The rice is finally ready, and Rin, excited, calls Vil to open the pot. When he lifts the lid, both are surprised by the delicious appearance of the dish. Rin watches in awe, enchanted by the result. The steam from the cooked rice emits a sweet aroma of cooked starch, mixed with the smell of soy sauce and mushrooms. Rin and Vil are mesmerized by the scent and the appearance of the dish, praising how delicious it looks. But when they flip the rice, they notice the bottom burned, making Rin worried about the final result. Even though the rice is very hot, Rin decides to shape it on her own, determined to complete the task. She feels the pain from the heat, but refuses help, saying that she can't let the frontline warrior burn his hands with this. Despite the effort, she thanks him for his concern. Even while complaining about the heat, Rin insists on shaping the rice while it's still hot, determined to do it right. She ends up slightly burning herself, and Vil, worried, asks if she's okay. Watching her, he shows a calm and subtly admiring look at her effort. Rin happily welcomes the group returning from the harvest, celebrating the success and commenting that they harvested more than expected. Hungry, everyone gets excited when Rin announces that the meal is ready. She calls them to join the picnic, while Vil is already waiting for them at the prepared spot. The group enjoys the rice balls with tiratake and the ghostbird omelet made by Rin. Everyone praises the taste and expresses gratitude. One of the members comments on how nice it is to have a meal ready when returning, and the leader thanks her directly, leaving Rin surprised and moved by the recognition. After the meal, Rin reflects on how simple gatherings can mark a lifetime. Touched by the words and thanks from the group, she smiles sincerely and returns the gratitude with joy. Everyone seems at peace, enjoying the moment together under the open sky. Rin calls everyone to eat while the food is still hot. Although they notice there's not enough space for everyone to sit, each person finds a way to settle. One of them even set up a net to protect against insects. Excited and satisfied, they finally begin to savor the dish, happy for the moment together. As everyone begins to try the food, each person comments on the flavor. The dish is incredibly tasty, especially for those with empty stomachs. Some comment that the rice has a peculiar taste, perhaps because it wasn't roasted. Others believe it's because it's a different type of rice. Everyone is happy with the unique flavor and enjoys the moment. While eating, Rin reflects on the type of rice used. She deduces it's indica rice, common and widely grown, with a loose texture and non-sticky, ideal for dishes like pilaf and paella. In contrast, the rice from the camping vehicle was japonica, stickier and softer, perfect for rice balls. She concludes that indica rice must also be predominant in this world. Rin gets excited about the idea of using indica rice to make pilaf in the future, but soon refocuses and opens her lunchbox. Even though she made and wrapped it alone, she's excited about the moment of opening the package. Vil tries to grab a bite, but Rin stops him, saying it's not acceptable, amusing everyone around. As she enjoys the meal, Rin appreciates every detail. The umami flavor increases with each bite. The almiraj meat is juicy, the tiratake mushrooms have a firm and pleasant texture, and the omelet with wild herbs brings a fresh and refined taste. Satisfied, she proudly says that everything turned out really delicious. As everyone relaxes after the meal, enjoying the view of the vast plains, Rin celebrates excitedly, saying that eating here is the best. In silence, Vil watches the group and thinks that inviting Rin to join them was definitely the right choice. During the conversation, Vil even praises the burned part of the rice, saying it was delicious. Rin, surprised, asks if he ate it without her noticing. Vil tries to cover it up, saying it was just a little taste, but Rin and the others stare at him in shock, while he admits he devoured everything quickly, finding the taste unexpectedly good. As she walks away, Rin trips and falls to the ground. Startled, she faces a huge creature emerging from the shadows of the forest. The monster's threatening presence sends Rin into a panic, completely vulnerable to the approaching danger. After the meal, Rin is praised for the flavor of the food, but she senses a strange atmosphere when everyone surrounds her, with confused expressions. Vil comments that the taste was great, but feels there's something beyond the flavor. Rin is bewildered, not understanding what else they are trying to say. Vil, with a serious and intense expression, finally reveals the real problem. The amount of food wasn't enough. Rin, surprised and unsure of how to respond, simply says, "Ah," as she processes the unexpected criticism. Rin acknowledges that, despite cooking a lot of rice, the quantity was insufficient. Determined to improve, she promises to make more next time, including soup and sides. To calm the hungry group, she changes the subject with excitement and asks who wants dessert, distracting everyone from their momentary hunger. The cookies work perfectly as a distraction. Everyone enjoys them, praising the sweet taste. Rin is relieved she brought the spice cookies again, even though they are nearly finished. In the end, everything turns out fine. With the harvest exceeding expectations, the group decides to return to the city earlier, satisfied with the outcome. As the group prepares to return to the city, Rin comments that they'll make a good profit from the mission, since even the excess will be bought. Vil helps organize things and praises Sinan's work, who secured a good order. In the midst of the packing, Rin hears a cry for help from the forest, and immediately becomes alert, realizing someone needs help. A young man appears running, desperate, shouting that a fire bear has appeared. Vil reacts alarmed, and Rin runs to check if he's hurt. The boy is in pain but conscious. Sanyan arrives shortly after, already understanding the situation and ready to act as everyone prepares for danger. Rin uses healing magic on the injured boy, who is amazed to see even deep wounds disappearing without leaving scars. However, he still feels dizzy and weak, worrying the group. When asked where he saw the fire bear, he answers it was near a large cedar tree. Immediately, Vil reacts urgently, asking for more details about the location. The boy reveals, crying, that the fire bear appeared in an area not too deep in the forest. He says his friends are still there, in danger. The tension grows within the group, and Rin realizes that, by the atmosphere and everyone's reactions, this enemy is much stronger than usual. Something beyond the normal level has just emerged. Rin observes the boy kneeling, shaken and crying, and asks how many people are still with the group trapped near the fire bear. Tension rises with the urgency of the situation, as everyone understands that lives are at risk, and time is running out. The boy answers, desperate, that 3 companions remain in the area: a warrior, a mage, and a priest. He begs for help, revealing that their group is called Lucky Clover. Vil listens attentively and replies firmly that he understands the situation, while the rest of the group gets ready to act. Vil orders the boy to go straight to the guild and inform them that the Gourmands group is leaving for the rescue. The boy, emotional and with tears in his eyes, thanks them deeply for the help, relieved to see that his friends will have a chance to be saved. The whole group shows determination. Vil entrusts Rin with an important task and orders everyone to prepare for departure. To everyone's surprise, a huge vehicle appears before them. Sinan is shocked, but Vil explains that it's the result of a special ability from Rin. The group watches, impressed, as she confidently activates her skill. As everyone boards the vehicle summoned by Rin, Vil explains that he chose her because she is capable of cooking and carrying luggage, revealing that he has always trusted her potential. Despite asking Rin to hide her skills, he apologizes for the situation. Rin, determined, responds firmly that saving lives is the priority, making her commitment to the mission clear. Rin reflects on how Vil has always been kind and thoughtful toward everyone, even deciding to hide their skills until they were sure they would work well as a team. Senyon acknowledges that Vil carries the weight of responsibility for the group, but Rin, resolute, affirms there's no need to worry. She chose this path to help others. Saving lives remains her top priority. Determined, Rin states that she prefers to expose her skills than stand idly by watching someone die. She says saving lives is more important than keeping secrets or avoiding problems. Even if this causes complications or leads to being taken back to the home country, Rin will proceed with her head held high and no regrets. She reinforces her commitment. If necessary, she will flee with her magic vehicle to ensure that no one dies. Vil says that if Rin has problems exposing her skills, he will protect her with all his might. Rin, surprised, recognizes that his words come from a sincere sense of responsibility, but asks him not to say such things now. Firmly, she changes the focus and says that the most important thing is to save the members of the Clover group. Rin accelerates the magic vehicle through the forest, asking to be guided to the right spot, even feeling her heart almost leap from her chest with so much tension. As the road advances ahead, a small animal nearby notices the movement and runs away scared from the sound of the tires cutting through the ground. Near the location of the attack, the group quickly organizes. Rin confirms that she'll be able to open the vehicle door while it's moving. Vil gives the orders. Arya will take care of moving the Clover group members away, Ed will help contain the fire bears, and Senyon will begin healing as soon as they arrive. Everyone responds ready, each taking their role with precision. Rin opens the vehicle door in motion with precision, and the group jumps into action. Vil signals. The rescue operation begins. At the location, the Clover group members are surrounded by a huge and furious fire bear, screaming in despair at the imminent danger. The fire bear charges furiously, ready to attack the Clover Group members who struggle to protect themselves. But something surprises it, a sudden movement. It turns growling and sees someone approaching rapidly. The Gourmands group appears with impact before the Lucky Clover members, declaring that they've come to help. Confidently, Vil announces the rescue mission in response to the call for help, promising that they won't leave anyone behind. Arya activates her restraining magic Estee Guard Restrain, conjuring magical ribbons that quickly wrap around the Clover group members. The ribbons pull them back, protecting them from immediate danger, as everyone watches with surprise and relief. Arya prevents the rescued group from advancing, telling them to stay behind because it's dangerous. She casts another spell, shocking one of the girls, who pleads for mercy. Rin compares the magic to a throwing net. Meanwhile, Senyon guides the injured to rest, explaining that he cannot heal their fatigue. Confused and relieved, they ask who their rescuers are. The blonde girl cries in relief, thanking them emotionally. Slowly, she is recognized by the others, who explain that it was the boy with cat ears who asked for help. The companions embrace and lick the blonde girl in a show of affection. Rin watches, realizing they made it in time and that this group is now safe. Vil faces the fire bear with his sword, delivering several quick strikes. The monster resists, growling with hatred and showing its teeth, still threatening despite the attacks. Rin tries to stay calm despite being terrified, thanking the protection of the vehicle and her mental strength. But she soon goes into shock when she sees that the fire bear has begun using magic, surprising everyone with the greater threat. As the flaming bear prepares to cast its magic, one of the Gourmands members intervenes with precision, freezing the attack with a powerful ice spell and confidently saying that it won't happen. Vil charges forward with his sword and cuts through the ice that was restraining the fire bear. The creature tries to hold its ground but is caught off guard by Vil's direct attack. The bear roars in anger, preparing to retaliate with its fiery magic. The mage stops the bear from casting its magic with ice fragments, saying that he won't let it act. Surprised, the fire bear retreats for a moment, but quickly prepares to attack again. Vil runs toward the creature, ready to face it head-on. Vil advances firmly against the fire bear, stating that he holds no grudges, but he cannot allow the creature to interfere with other adventurers. The mage adds that it's the monster's fault for going this far. The two attack simultaneously, hitting the beast with force and making it scream in pain. Vil drives his sword deep, knocking down the fire bear. The creature lets out one last scream before slowly beginning to collapse. Rin watches from the van, surprised by the sudden end to the battle. The fire bear falls, completely defeated. Rin cheers excitedly at the scene, finding everything incredible. But Vil and the other warrior find it strange. It was too easy. They realize something is off. The Lucky Clover group sincerely thanks them for their help, saying they would have been annihilated without them. Vil asks about the man's injuries and he says he's fine and very grateful. Rin, still near the vehicle, overhears everything from a distance and smiles in relief. Lyre introduces himself and explains that he formed the Lucky Clover group with the orphan children Leon and Ida, who are connected to a church on the outskirts of the city. He confirms that Lento was sent because he's the fastest in the group and was the one who sought reinforcements. Lyre shares that he was once an adventurer, working as a night priest, but retired after injuring his knee. Rin, hearing this, imagines a monk-like transformation. The narration summarizes the members of Lucky Clover. Lento is a cat-human, Ida is a half-elf, Leon is a beastman lion, and Lyre is the former adventurer and current priest of the church. Lyre explains that the Lucky Clover group and other children from the church formed small teams to perform simple missions to cover their daily expenses. That day, upon accepting a collection mission in the forest, they encountered a fire bear. Although Leon and Ada were able to avoid attacks, Lyre wouldn't have made it out with them and would have been defeated if he tried to face it alone. Lyre explains that he stayed behind on purpose, creating a distraction for the fire bear and buying time for the children to escape. He knew that if he was defeated quickly, the monster would catch up to the others. Vil acknowledges that Lyre prioritized buying time over winning. Lyre responds that it's better than running away and leaving the others to die. Rin seriously reflects on the situation, realizing how difficult it is to decide between fleeing alone or sacrificing oneself. She concludes that, even if they all escape together, the difference in strength makes it dangerous. Fleeing separately is also risky, as someone would inevitably be killed. She acknowledges that it's not easy to throw away one's own life, even with good intentions. Rin reflects that sending Lento to fetch reinforcements was the best strategy to save the four of them. But she realized how risky it was. If the reinforcements had been delayed, they could have all died. Even though it worked out, it was by a narrow margin. They discussed that the fire bear should appear in deeper areas and be stronger and smarter. Its presence there seems abnormal. Despite this, Lyre found it terrifying. In the end, they decide to return to the guild to report the incident and discuss the reward. They decide that they need to inform the guild, even with the reward guaranteed. As night is falling and traveling at night is dangerous, Vil offers safe and quick transportation to the city, but makes it clear there are conditions. Lyre is then asked, will he accept or not? Lyre apologizes to the three and explains that he asked Sinyan to cast a sleep spell on them so they wouldn't notice being put into the vehicle. Rin understands and comments on how cute they are while sleeping. Vil and the other one accept the situation without problems. Sanyan confirms that Rin really is capable of carrying luggage, as Vil said. This makes it clear that her ability goes beyond expectations, including transporting even people. Lyre gets the message and praises Vil, while the others also acknowledge the merit, praising her enthusiastically. Vil informs Rin that they'll probably all spend the night at the guild's lodging and won't be able to return to the vehicle. He mentions that, although they revealed their abilities out of necessity, it would be better to keep them secret in the future. Rin understands and thanks him, accepting the recommendation with a smile. Rin says she understands the concern about keeping her abilities secret, but asks them not to hesitate to use them if lives are at risk or in emergencies. She wants to be useful and collaborate. In her thoughts, she remembers the anxiety she felt when losing her means of livelihood and how she met Vil in the midst of that, seizing the opportunity without hesitation. Rin reflects that, even if the environment was like that of an exploring company, she decided to cling to the opportunity to survive. She admits that she would have been completely lost if Vil had abandoned her, but recognizes that he listens to her opinions, adjusts decisions based on them, and cares about the kind of life she wants to have. Rin thinks about Arya, Ed, and Sinyan, realizing that they all care about her, even though they've just met. Then Vil sincerely thanks her, saying that everyone was saved thanks to her. Rin smiles, emotional, happy to have been useful. As the group leaves in the van, she thinks there's nothing wrong with wanting to be useful to such kind people. Lyre and the children are surprised by how quickly they arrive, but they're soon interrupted by a girl who shouts excitedly when she sees them. Then she runs toward them so quickly it seems like a sequence of attacks. 1, 2, 3. Lento runs desperately upon seeing his friends, greeted with cries of relief and tight hugs. Rin watches the scene, moved, thinking how beautiful it is when friends get along. Vil comments that Lento was probably waiting anxiously, and upon spotting them, couldn't hold back, even though he was prevented by the guards from leaving earlier. Before entering the city, the Lucky Clover group was discreetly dropped off at an appropriate spot. Vil and the others woke them up, avoiding suspicion by suddenly reappearing. To avoid attracting attention, Rin drove the vehicle alone to the gate, following in a relaxed and natural way to reunite with the others. Everything was carefully planned to avoid confusion with the guards. Sheila receives the Lucky Clover and Gourmands groups with relief upon seeing everyone is fine. She informs them that the guildmaster is already aware of the situation and is waiting for them. Even though they are tired, Sheila asks them to head straight to the guild. Vil agrees, saying they already planned to treat matters separately with Lucky Clover. So, they decide that the members of Lucky Clover will go first, and the rest will follow afterward. Rin confirms that they're going to the guild, but says she needs to prepare and can't go empty-handed. Vil asks if he should bring the items collected earlier, and Rin responds that she will wrap them and bring something appropriate. After searching quickly, she finds a wrapping cloth with an arabesque pattern, thinking it's perfect for the occasion. Rin exits the vehicle with the wrapped items on her back, reflecting that, in the end, she really seems like someone who carries luggage. When she joins the others, she passes unnoticed by the guards, who comment among themselves if there had been a child there before, or if she was too small to notice. Rin arrives in front of a large door, impressed, while Sheila informs her that the guildmaster is waiting inside. Vil hands the recovered items to Sheila, and Rin, excited, exclaims with sparkling eyes, "Guildmaster!" Vil explains that, since the reward's fate hasn't been decided yet, they can't keep the items now. Sheila agrees that they will be stored at the guild until everything is resolved. Rin thinks about the possible complications. Then, as they knock on the door, a voice allows them to enter, and Vil announces that he brought the gourmands with him. The guild leader receives Vil enthusiastically, thanking him for the rescue mission. He expresses gratitude for having saved the affiliated adventurers, making it clear that he values the help they've received. The guild master invites Vil and Rin to sit, commenting that he wouldn't let anyone die. Then he notices Rin and asks who the little girl is. Vil introduces her as a new member, and Rin is annoyed at being called that, even though she's already an adult. Rin politely introduces herself to the guild master, saying she's still inexperienced but will do her best. However, the master becomes completely confused by her formality, repeating the words, "your guidance," as if they didn't make sense. Then he gets agitated and demands Vil explain who Rin really is. The group is questioned aggressively by a large man with an eye patch, who suspects they've kidnapped the girl because she seems too refined. The leader of the group tries to explain that she was recruited properly. Meanwhile, other adventurers comment that they don't seem like sensible people, causing a small uproar and provocations among those present. The man with the eye patch hesitates but eventually drops the matter for now, saying that the priority is dealing with the fire bear. During a meeting, the man with the eye patch explains that the guild will cover the costs of the subjugation mission. One of the attendees comments that they thought the Lucky Clover group would bear this cost, as it was a rescue request, but the man responds that he wouldn't be so cruel. He also mentions that the appearance of the fire bear in that area was very unusual. The girl listens to everything and thinks about how difficult it must be for starting groups to handle request fees, realizing that Lucky Clover survives solely through adventuring. The group decides that the reward for the mission will be 5 gold coins, plus the right to keep the items left by the monster. One of them questions why the fire bear appeared so close to the starting area and whether this has happened before. The man with the eye patch replies that he has seen some intermediate level monsters there, but never anything as strong as an advanced level one. This makes everyone think that this case may be something out of the ordinary. A comparison is made between the Lucky Clover group and children playing baseball in a friendly manner, while the danger faced was equivalent to facing a professional player or even an Olympic athlete. Despite some incidents in the past involving slightly stronger monsters, nothing compared to what they face now. The girl is shocked by the situation and impressed that they managed to win, considering the challenge was far beyond their usual level. The group begins to discuss the possibility that the fire bear wasn't as powerful as it seemed, despite its appearance and abilities being typical of this type of monster. One of them comments that Eddie's ice wasn't even damaged, raising suspicions that maybe the bear was just a regular animal transformed by force. The situation seems so confusing that the girl, not understanding anything, admits she can no longer follow what's going on. The man with the eye patch asks if the group checked the status of the fire bear before defeating it, and they admit they didn't. He is surprised by how things turned out and says it's better to reinforce the patrols in nearby areas, such as the forest and the coast. Then he hands the group a new mission, to carry out a patrol in the El Raj region. The man with the eye patch emphasizes that the patrol mission is an official request from the guild itself and asks if the group is willing to cooperate. Everyone is surprised by the weight of the request, especially the girl, who seems impacted by how formal it is coming from the organization. The group accepts the official guild mission. The man with the eye patch reiterates that, since it's a patrol, it's better to avoid missions that take them far from the city. As there are no urgent cases at the moment, they decide to focus on the patrols in the El Raj region. The girl is surprised to see the group directly chosen by the guild master, finding it impressive, and assuming they must be very strong. The girl starts to doubt herself, wondering if someone like her is really needed in such a strong group. Meanwhile, the guild master announces that the decision is made, and as he's in a good mood, he offers the group the use of the guild's restroom. He informs them that the patrols will begin the next day. The girl is surprised by his generosity, and one of the group members asks her to stay for a bit longer. The other members of the group say their goodbyes and leave, leaving the girl and Vil behind. She notices that he's clearly irritated, which makes the atmosphere even worse. Hungry and impatient, he just wants to leave. At this moment, the guild master turns to the girl and confirms her name Rin, mentioning that she is responsible for the group's luggage. This leaves her a bit surprised and nervous. The guild master formally introduces himself as Tori, responsible for the Elraj city, and apologizes for the disorganized introduction earlier. He explains that he called Rin to stay because he wanted to confirm something that Vil had reported. She feels confused and a bit nervous about the situation. Vil, in turn, says he thought it necessary to comment on the matter, as staying silent could cause problems. Tori looks seriously at Rin and reveals that the issue he needs to discuss with her is related to the summoning of the saint. The girl is surprised by the revelation, unsure of how to react. Rin is confused when she hears again that the subject is about the invocation of the saint. She begins to think about when this might have been reported, if it was while she was sleeping. Upon reflecting, she realizes that even with a report, it seems like no one truly knows who she is. This makes her suspect something strange, as if everything is being staged. She apologizes, still trying to understand the situation. Vil says that he couldn't avoid reporting the incident to the superiors, as he considers the matter too serious. Rin, in panic, tries to calm the situation and justifies that reporting, informing, and consulting are natural and important actions. She admits that she doesn't know what the saint's impact is in this world, but understands that failing to report something so grave would be a problem. In the end, she ends up making an enthusiastic speech about basic communication, while trying to stay firm in the situation. Rin reflects alone on the situation, thinking that the right thing would be to report everything to Tori and discuss future strategies. However, she realizes that even though they are strong, the members of the group cannot oppose the guild's decisions. If the guild's policy is truly to separate Vil's group and seek support from the country, this could result in a loss of freedom. She also fears that, with this, they might end up overwhelmed by absurd demands. This possibility makes her hesitate and think more deeply about the consequences. Rin jokingly imagines that she could just leave the group to avoid trouble. But inside, she begins to feel out of place, thinking that the group doesn't need someone like her, who only helps with basic tasks like cooking or carrying luggage. Thinking about this, she begins to seriously consider if it wouldn't be better to step away. She feels that maybe someone more competent could take her place in the group. While Rin is still immersed in thoughts about leaving the group, Vil approaches her seriously and directly, asking if she is thinking about leaving. The sudden question and his intense gaze completely shock Rin, leaving her not knowing how to react. Rin desperately tries to deny it, saying she wasn't thinking of running away. Vil, however, looks at her firmly and makes it clear that he won't allow her to just leave. He says he won't let this slide and tells her not to even dare think about running away. Rin is completely surprised by his seriousness. Rin becomes thoughtful, noticing a strong attachment from Vil, but not fully understanding what he feels. She wonders what that really means. Soon after, the atmosphere changes when Vil seems to be irritated with the food of the other group members. The guildmaster jokes, saying that Vil should resolve this kind of couples quarrel elsewhere. Rin, embarrassed, tries to contain the situation, while the others either remain confused or enjoy the scene. The guildmaster asks Rin if the story of the saint's invocation really happened. She confirms, but admits she doesn't know the details or whether it caused any pain. He then suggests evaluating her with an appreciation ability to better understand her situation. Rin becomes slightly worried about what this might reveal, while Vil watches with suspicion. The master says he just wants to see her class and abilities, trying to calm the mood, even under Vil's unfriendly gaze. Rin tries to reassure Vil, saying that the evaluation doesn't seem to be intrusive. Even so, she knows that showing her status is like exposing her weaknesses. Vil stares at her seriously and says that this kind of information should only be shared with someone trusted. Rin understands this, but since she's not a combatant, she believes it's fine to show it to the guildmaster. In the end, she smiles and says that Vil can also see, showing she's willing to trust him. Vil watches closely while analyzing Rin's status information. Suddenly, he reacts with surprise and visible shock, covering his mouth with his hand. Rin looks at him in silence, not understanding what he saw, but noticing that something deeply affected him. Vil remains surprised after seeing Rin's status, leaving her confused and unsure if she said something wrong. The guildmaster starts laughing quietly, while Rin tries to understand the situation. She becomes worried if what was revealed could be embarrassing, and tries to justify, saying that character introductions are important, especially for adventurers. Still not fully understanding the details of her abilities, she stumbles while trying to explain. Rin continues trying to justify the revelation of her status, saying that since she's not a combatant, exposing her abilities wouldn't cause many problems. She compares her skills to something like a support vehicle, and explains that if she were a warrior, she could have strategies exposed. But that's not the case. Finally, she argues that, as part of the group, it's important for the leader, Vil, to know her capabilities well so they can act as a team. Meanwhile, the Guildmaster laughs at the situation, and Vil continues visibly impacted. The Guildmaster interrupts the conversation with a smile, saying that this is enough for now. He explains that, in general, status is only shown when there's a good level of trust, something reserved for group members or family. Rin agrees enthusiastically, saying it's not something you share with just anyone. Vil remains silent, still processing everything, with a serious and thoughtful expression. The Guildmaster analyzes Rin's sheet and states that, based on her class and abilities, it's very likely that she came from another world. Rin is surprised by the conclusion and asks how he knew this. He explains that the class Foreigner Traveler is typically given to people who arrive artificially in this world, which reinforces her origin as someone summoned. The Foreigner class that Rin has allows her to obtain a special ability randomly and even acquire an additional class, something rare in this world. As she reflects on all the possibilities, Vil comments that normally only one ability can be learned per class. Rin, excited, thanks her class for these unique advantages, and the others also recognize that she's doing quite well. The Guildmaster explains that beings from other worlds aren't common, and even the oldest elves don't remember anything like this. Rin notes that everything seems based on assumptions and ancient stories, like that of a priestess princess who purified evil after being summoned. Despite the advantages her class offers, she comments that it seems like something out of a fairy tale and questions why they don't summon more people if the benefits are so great. Vil and the Guildmaster remain thoughtful, suggesting that there's more to it than she imagines. While Rin remains unaware, a new scene reveals a hooded group. One of the members, in thought, questions the entire logic behind summoning someone from another world. To him, this idea sounds like a questionable fairy tale, hard to believe. He doesn't understand how anyone could take this seriously, especially with the uncertainty involved. He also questions how it would be possible to gather the magical power necessary to perform something so absurd. Vil comments that instead of wasting magical power on invocations, it seems more efficient to train and improve one's own classes. The Guildmaster agrees, saying that even with powerful special abilities, summoning someone from another world doesn't seem worth it. Rin, hearing all this, feels overwhelmed with so much information being revealed in sequence, with no time to process everything properly. Rin goes into a crisis when she realizes she was called the Lucky One for being successfully summoned, even though she was caught in the middle of a dubious ritual. She begins to think that, in reality, she didn't have any luck. Amid the confusion, a serious doubt arises. If summoning someone from another world is so uncertain, why were they trying to bring a saint? What exactly did they expect to achieve with this? Rin asks if there have been many monster attacks lately, trying to understand if there's any connection with her invocation. The Guildmaster says he hasn't noticed an increase in incidents and hasn't heard rumors of monster groups acting unusually. Rin thinks that maybe everything is connected to this, but Tori responds that, although it's an interesting way of thinking, he doesn't see a connection between the Firebear's attack and the Saint's invocation. He says they will continue investigating and hope to get more information soon. Rin thanks and apologizes for not being useful with information or knowledge. The Guildmaster reassures her, saying she can take all the time she needs to adapt to the new world. Vil also encourages her, saying that if she's useful to the adventurers, she's also useful to the guild. The conversation ends with a lighter moment. Rin comments on the bald guy, and Tori responds indignantly, saying he's not bald, just shaves his head. Meanwhile, Vil and Rin are observed as if they are very close. Tori informs that the next mission will be patrolling the sea, starting at 9 a.m. and going until shortly after 3 p.m., when the tide rises. As soon as Rin hears this, she becomes completely excited about the idea, shouting excitedly about patrolling the sea and already dreaming of seafood. Her exaggerated reaction surprises everyone around her, including Vil, who just watches as she celebrates with gleaming eyes. Rin continues excited about the idea of the sea patrol and begins imagining a seafood barbecue if they manage to catch something. Her excitement catches attention, and the others just watch silently as she gets lost in her own fantasies. When Vil suggests buying the ingredients at the market before leaving, her eyes light up with joy, and she excitedly says she really wants to visit the market. Rin remains enthusiastic about the seafood barbecue idea, leaving Vil somewhat confused by her excitement. The guildmaster smiles upon seeing them interact, and then ends the conversation, saying they can rest for the day. He directs them to the rooms at the back of the guild and apologizes for the time they've taken. The scene ends with a calm atmosphere, preparing the group for the next day. Rin is escorted to her room by Sheila, who advises her on the bathroom at the end of the hall. She's a bit surprised to find it's a single room, but thanks Sheila politely. After they say their goodbyes and exchange goodnight, Sheila encourages her enthusiastically to do her best the next day. Rin smiles excitedly and promises to try hard, ending the day with a light and welcoming mood. Rin throws herself onto the bed, exhausted, and vents to herself in thought. The day has been intense, full of new experiences and situations that are difficult to understand. She admits that she still doesn't fully comprehend what's happening, but realizes how vast and complex this new world is. Still, she faces the challenges with some lightness, noticing that each day has been a roller coaster. Rin motivates herself, remembering that the important thing is to start with what's within reach. She gets excited about the idea of taking the first step, and decides she will begin preparing the meal for the next day. Even though she's tired, she raises her fist with determination, but then collapses onto the bed, drained. Still, her hand trembles, trying to maintain the fighting spirit. In the morning, in a quiet town, a young man with horns walks to Rin's house and calls for her from the window. Rin wakes up startled, but quickly cheers up upon seeing Vil. She greets him with a smile and says she's excited to go to the market. He asks if she's ready, and she confirms enthusiastically. Rin and Vil arrive at the market early, and despite the sun just having risen, there's already a lot of movement. They watch the stalls being set up, with merchants adjusting their schedules according to the flow of travelers. Rin notices some elegant women passing by and imagines they're girls returning from night shifts. As they walk, Vil comments that adventurers like them usually shop before taking on new missions. While strolling through the market, Rin and Vil observe different types of stalls, from foldable ones to fixed stores and carts adapted as points of sale. A merchant catches their attention with a cat on his hat, which makes Rin smile. She's fascinated by the vendors traveling with their goods and begins to imagine what it would be like to explore the world in that way. Vil notices her excitement, but silently thinks of something more serious. Rin and Vil now focus on the food stalls. There are fresh fruits, smoked and salted meats, cheeses, spices, and even sake. Rin is amazed by the variety and, excited, says she wants to buy everything. But after looking more closely, she decides what's most important at the moment. Rin firmly decides they should buy vegetables, surprising Vil, who had been dreaming of meats and heavier foods. He's shocked by her simple choice, but Rin stands by her decision with seriousness. Vil panics as he watches Rin run determinedly to buy the vegetables. Even though he's reluctant, he begs her to let him grab something important for himself and firmly holds her hand. In the end, they manage to buy the vegetables, and the vendor even adds some extra potatoes as a gift. Rin thanks her with a satisfied smile. Rin celebrates the mission accomplished after buying the vegetables, but Vil remains downhearted, saying he'll die if he doesn't eat something more substantial. He mentions that vegetables have few calories and won't sustain him, especially someone with his appetite. Rin tries to understand the resistance and notices that the vegetables here resemble those from Japan. She's also surprised at how well she can communicate with the local vendors. Rin tries to please Vil by offering bacon and cheese as an alternative to the vegetables. He instantly becomes more animated and starts describing in detail the flavors of the shops he knows, even mentioning the smell of apples and fresh milk. His enthusiasm impresses Rin, who realizes he knows a lot about food, just not about vegetables. Curious, she asks if he has any vegetable recommendations, which leaves him unsure of how to answer. Vil admits he doesn't know any decent vegetables to recommend, which doesn't surprise Rin, but makes her decide she needs to do something about it. Later, Rin arrives excitedly at a building and is greeted by several people who enthusiastically wish her good morning. She responds with a smile, seeming surrounded by friends and colleagues. Rin and Vil meet up with the group and are asked what they bought. Rin answers eagerly, saying it's a surprise and that everyone should wait for lunch. Internally, she worries, thinking that if she reveals it's going to be a meal full of vegetables, everyone will be disappointed. Still, she keeps the smile and pretends to be excited along with the others. Vil has an internal conflict, recognizing that vitamins are important, but still resisting the idea of eating vegetables. Rin thinks maybe the vegetables from this world aren't as good as those from Japan. Meanwhile, Vil imagines that, within the group, vegetables rank at the very bottom, and meat reigns as the true king of food. As the group walks along a trail, Rin confidently states that everything depends on being well prepared. They agree that this might be a good place to stop. It's explained that the port city of El Rage has strict security and only allows entry with authorization. Because of this, adventurers wishing to go to the beach must take a detour. The group finally reaches the beach, parking their vehicle near the sand. Rin smells the sea and, excited, runs toward the view. She's captivated by the blue sky and endless horizon, recognizing the ocean in the distance and marveling at the scenery. The group enjoys the beach view, observing the calm sea and clear sky. Arya shows happiness, which catches the others' attention, and they comment on how cute she looks when she's cheerful. One of them compliments the speed of something they've just seen, and Vil receives another acknowledgement for his skills, responding with a simple yes, maintaining his calm posture. The group finally reaches the beach at El Rege, which has shallow, sandy areas and spots with rocks. This type of terrain attracts many adventurers, as it makes collecting sea resources easier. One of the members celebrates the arrival, asking if everyone is doing well. The others confirm that the trip was smooth and the atmosphere remains lively. While part of the group enjoys the beach, Vil explains that the mission involves collecting 5 kilos of large shellfish. Since Rin will stay in the trailer, each person will need to gather just over a kilo. She admits that she prefers not to participate directly due to her lack of combat experience, fearing she'd be a burden to the group if anything unexpected happens. Still, Vil assures her that, if needed, they can use a secret trick, reminding everyone that the main goal should still be achieved. Rin tries to remain strong and motivated, even though she wants to join the gathering at the beach. She convinces herself that she needs to be strong today. Vil directly asks if they're only going to eat vegetables, leaving Rin flustered. But soon she has an idea. If they can catch some shellfish, they can make a dish called sakamushi. Vil agrees with the suggestion, and the two start planning how to clean the shells to prepare the meal. Rin comments that the dish would still be great if made with fish or shrimp, which completely catches Vil's interest. Upon hearing the idea of pickled shrimp with oil, he enters a determined mode, as if something inside him has been activated. Rin realizes she accidentally reignited Vil's competitive and hungry spirit, and now he's completely focused and ready to act, with no time to waste. The group says goodbye to Rin before heading out to gather the ingredients, telling her to stay hidden and run if anything happens. Rin promises to take care of herself and wishes everyone good luck. Alone in the trailer, she decides to start preparing lunch, determined to make a vegetable dish so delicious that even those who only like meat will enjoy it. Even so, she remains curious about the secret trick Vil mentioned earlier. With a peaceful view of the sea in the background, Rin prepares to cook in the trailer. She ties her hair, carefully washes the vegetables, and begins frying something in the pan, focused on the meal preparation. The sound of the sizzling oil blends with the soft sound of the waves, creating a calm and determined atmosphere. Rin watches the eggplants frying and thinks about how well they go with oil. Even wondering where all that oil is going, she tries not to think about the calories and diet rules. To her, the taste is worth it. As she cooks, she gets excited and wonders if the dish is already at the right point. Rin tries what she's just prepared, analyzing the taste and texture. She notices that the skin of the eggplant, while firm, is pleasant to the taste after cooking. Thinking about the next dishes, she considers using tomatoes, hoping that their acidity will bring a refreshing feeling when heated, especially if served with meats to balance the flavor. Rin tastes each vegetable she's prepared, excited about the flavors. She's surprised by the quality of the ingredients from this world. Potatoes are soft, cucumbers are crunchy, and tomatoes have a strong taste. Determined, she enthusiastically declares that she's going to heat everything again. Meanwhile, one of the girls watches the scene with suspicion upon hearing that lunch will only consist of vegetables. Rin, however, is excited and confident about the result. Rin is startled when she sees Arya return and asks if she forgot something. Arya responds calmly, saying she just took a walk around the area and didn't find anything suspicious, so she decided to stay on guard. Rin thanks her, but quickly realizes she was careless. Arya heard everything she said and even knew about the ingredients. Then, Arya hands her a net with shellfish, confirming that the group managed to get the mission's items. Rin watches and thinks the shellfish look like hard oriental clams. Arya reveals the secret trick, a huge Japanese sea bass caught from the sea. Rin is shocked by the size of the fish and wonders if it will also be served alongside the shellfish. Meanwhile, the group begins suggesting ways to prepare it, like grilling with salt or stir-frying. Rin already imagines using the fish for lunch and gets excited about the idea, considering it a great plan. Rin starts preparing the fish, explaining the process for draining the blood properly to ensure the flavor isn't compromised. She's fully focused on pairing the fish with the vegetables. Meanwhile, one of the girls asks why Rin doesn't like vegetables. She hesitates for a moment and admits that, besides the taste, she doesn't really care for them. The friend quickly realizes that Rin is easy to understand and is working hard to balance the dishes. Arya confesses that she doesn't like feeling unsatisfied after eating, which reminds Rin exactly of what Vil said. Rin realizes this and concludes that the best way to change this view is by making Arya prove that vegetables can be tasty too. Determined, she begins preparing something special and asks Arya to wait just a minute. Rin places slices of cheese on tomato rounds and takes everything to the frying pan. She waits excitedly for the result as the cheese melts. When everything is ready, she proudly presents the tomato with cheese samples, saying she's just testing herself as a good cook. Rin offers the tomato with cheese to Arya, trying to get her to taste it. Meanwhile, she reflects that maybe the problem people have with vegetables isn't the taste, but the feeling of dissatisfaction after eating. She concludes that by adding more oil and ingredients, the dish might seem more complete. Arya agrees to try it, and Rin also prepares to taste the result of her creation, confident that this might be a good way to win over even those who dislike vegetables. Rin takes a bite of the tomato with cheese and feels the perfect combination between the crunch of the toasted part and the creamy filling. The melted cheese has a rich milk flavor, and despite its peculiar taste from being fermented, the result is tasty. She's surprised and satisfied with the dish's balance. Arya tries the tomato with cheese and is surprised by the taste. She feels the creaminess of the fat at first, but soon the tomato's subtle acidity warms up and cleanses the palate. Rin watches in delight and realizes that the balance between fat and acidity is the secret. Arya, with a sincere smile, admits that it's delicious, proving that even those who dislike vegetables can be won over by good preparation. Arya continues eating and shows that she's genuinely enjoying the dish. She admits that when vegetables are combined with cheese and meat, they're much more acceptable. Rin celebrates internally, thinking of bigger goals, balancing meals with meat, fish, cooked vegetables, and even raw ones. Excited, she decides to stay focused, even knowing there's still a long way to go before everyone accepts vegetables naturally. While Rin is focused in the kitchen, Arya approaches and unexpectedly asks if she likes anyone. The direct question catches Rin off guard, and she freezes, her expression completely flustered, not knowing how to react. Rin panics at Arya's question about someone she likes, completely red and nervous. Arya presses on with a sweet, teasing look, clearly enjoying the situation. Rin is left speechless and thinks Arya is too beautiful and is deliberately being cute. Arya then says that she heard talking about love stories is common among girls, as if it's something obligatory in female gatherings, leaving Rin even more stuck. Rin tries to escape the conversation, saying she understands what a love story is, but doesn't know how to talk about it. She claims she can talk for hours about food, but romance is a different level. While trying to avoid the topic, Arya, still calm and observant, asks directly about Vil, leaving Rin even more confused and with no way out. The conversation gets more and more awkward for her. Rin desperately tries to explain that she likes Vil, but in a friendship sense, saying it would be impossible to hate someone like him. Arya then gets closer and, with a direct look, asks if this means Rin loves him. The question leaves Rin completely speechless, blushing and frozen, while Arya continues staring at her closely, clearly enjoying the reaction. Rin tries to answer Arya's question, saying she probably likes Vil, but not romantically. She acknowledges that Vil is an amazing person and hard not to like. While thinking about this, she explains that if it were just a matter of liking or not liking, she'd say she likes him without a doubt. However, if the question is whether she has romantic feelings, she admits that she doesn't feel that way. At least not yet. Rin thinks about her feelings and concludes that what she feels for Vil is more like respect or companionship, something like soul siblings. Just then, she's startled by an alert on the tablet, warning her about potential risk with the fish they were preparing. Despite the sea looking clean, since they're near the city, she decides it's safer to remove the fish's internal organs, as they can be dangerous depending on the habitat. Rin smells the fish and notices it's fresh, with no bad odor. With that, she decides to wash part of it, slicing it thinly. She leaves the other half with the skin to sauté. Meanwhile, Arya insists they should talk more about love, but Rin keeps avoiding the topic, leaving Arya disappointed with her overly simple answers. Rin comments that she's exhausted all romance topics, but still has plenty of ideas about dishes with fish. The other girl admits that the topic is interesting but seems disappointed. Rin then reflects that, at this age, it's normal to fall for someone within one's social circle, but for her, she ended up prioritizing hobbies and other things over dedicating herself to romance. Rin is completely curled up in embarrassment, reflecting on herself. Then she rises in a dramatic pose and declares loudly that she's never had a boyfriend in her life, as if it were a big revelation. The scene ends with her striking an exaggerated pose, surrounded by flowers, while the friend watches, somewhat shocked by her reaction. Rin continues in the kitchen, preparing the ingredients carefully. She places the sliced fish in iced water for a while, then drains it and stores the pieces on paper towels in the fridge. She then arranges the tomatoes without stems in the rice cooker and turns it on. She comments that when the others return, she'll start grilling the vegetables and sautéing the fillets. Meanwhile, she keeps everything refrigerated to preserve freshness. Rin holds a tomato dramatically, saying that with just that, she can make a delicious and refreshing tomato rice. Then, she starts repeating diaru exaggeratedly and excitedly until she collapses on the floor, admitting that all of this is just a form of escapism. Rin stays curled up on the floor, trembling slightly, while saying that she always gets through unpleasant moments by acting like this. She thinks that she doesn't hate talking about love with Arya, but it's something embarrassing. She also comments that her focus right now is to achieve a stable life. In the end, she reveals that she's actually more curious about Arya's relationship with Ed. Arya seems surprised when she hears Rin ask about her relationship with Ed. Rin feels embarrassed, stuttering, and Arya tries to respond, saying it's something normal, but she visibly becomes upset and thoughtful. Rin's expression shows she realizes there's something deeper behind Arya's reaction. Rin reacts excitedly when she sees that Arya got flustered with the topic of romance and teases her, saying that whoever starts talking about love has to be ready to be exposed too. Arya blushes, trying to hide it. Meanwhile, the others continue their patrol and talk about being hungry, thinking about lunch. Rin is very emotional and praises Arya's story, saying it was touching. She gets all excited, finding Arya beautiful and cute. Arya, on the other hand, looks sulky and embarrassed, realizing she's the only one who truly opened up. Rin begins fantasizing about Arya and Ed's story, as if it were an epic romance. She imagines the two of them meeting on the battlefield, falling in love at first sight, running away together, and breaking away from everything to live their love. She gets so excited that even the stove seems to agree with her, while she gets emotional about the idea of a passionate couple living intense moments. While Arya remains deep in thought, Rin begins preparing a new dish. She peels the thin skin off the still warm tomato and mixes the soft pulp with freshly cooked rice. Then she adds butter and a bit of black pepper, creating a gentle and inviting aroma. Rin is delighted with the sweet and sour scent that begins to rise from the dish as everything is blended together. The rice with tomato is finally ready, releasing a warm steam. Rin offers a spoonful to Arya, who hesitates for a moment but eventually accepts. As soon as she tries it, her expression becomes surprised and cute, chewing in silence. Rin and the other girl react with delight, finding her incredibly adorable. Arya tries to maintain composure, but she's clearly touched by the taste. Arya eats a little more and is surprised again, saying that even though it's vegetables with rice, it's delicious. Rin explains that she used 3 whole tomatoes, and that it's all thanks to the blessings of summer. She comments that just adding butter to the hot rice makes it irresistible, The combination of sweet and sour tomato with black pepper cuts through the fat and enhances the flavor even further. In the end, Rin gets excited, saying that with a creamy curry she could eat the entire pot, and it would be the terror of any diet. Arya tries the rice and is shocked by how addictive it is, calling it devil's rice, saying it's impossible to stop eating. Rin confirms she used 3 whole tomatoes. Another girl appears, thinking the portion looks small, wondering if that would be enough to fill anyone. Rin comments that it would be good to serve the rice with something else, like a ratatouille, to make it a complete dish. In the end, everyone gets excited and a mountain of side dishes is brought in with huge portions, everyone thrilled about the feast. The group that went out returns and is greeted by Rin and Arya. One of the men confirms they're back, and Rin asks if they managed to catch fish and shrimp. The young man, somewhat awkward and looking downcast, can only say, "shrimp," while holding a single shrimp in his hand. Seeing this, Rin feels awkward and apologizes for asking. Arya tries to lighten the mood by mentioning the fish she caught herself, along with several protein-packed foods already prepared in the side dishes. Vil is visibly upset and deep in thought after returning. The girl notices he feels guilty and wants to cheer him up, deciding to prepare lunch. She promises to make it tasty, even if it's only with vegetables. With determination, she runs to show off her cooking skills, believing this could lift Vil's spirits. The girl enthusiastically begins preparing lunch. First, she puts a cheesy gratin in the oven. While it bakes, she decides to make a Japanese-style dish with sea bass and a carpaccio-like salad. Excited, she chooses to use flour for a special touch and opts for a grilled style to complement the meal. She decides to finish the dish by searing the skin of the fish to make it crispy. First, she seasons the fillets with salt and pepper. Then, she heats up the pan, adds oil, and places the fish skin side down, frying it on low heat. To ensure it cooks evenly, she gently presses down on the fillets while they cook, preventing them from curling. While the fish cooks on low heat, she holds herself back from stirring and disturbing the process. She used the time to cut tomatoes and cucumbers, preparing the side dish. Vil delivers the chilled sashimi, and she comments that she would love to eat it with soy sauce, plum, or wasabi, showing her enthusiasm for the flavors. She panics when she realizes she's missing ingredients to serve the sashimi as she wanted. To make do, she decides to use a salad dressing as an alternative. Vil compliments her skill, leaving her a little embarrassed. She then checks the fish and sees that it's almost ready, smiling and thanking herself while mentioning the 80-20 rule, indicating everything is under control. She finishes the fish carefully, flipping it to sear the other side without breaking the fillet. Then she prepares the sashimi carpaccio with chopped tomatoes, olive oil, salt, and vinegar, mixing everything together as a sauce. She places the rice in a bowl, and the oven beeps at just the right moment, finishing the gratin on time. Everything is ready. With everything prepared, she announces lunch enthusiastically. As she arrives with the dishes, she notices that everyone is already seated, leaving little room. Even though they're crowded, they try to make space. Vil is invited to sit as well, and she carries the food, wondering if everything will fit on the table. She presents the meal proudly, surprising everyone with the quantity and appearance of the dishes. The table is filled with well-prepared food. Even though she realizes she might have overdone it, she's pleased to have used vegetables in such a creative and tasty way, feeling accomplished with the result. One of the members comments that there are a lot of vegetables in the meal, which makes the girl a bit nervous. She tries to explain, saying she focused on the size and used a little oil. Another member, Ed, admits that the group usually doesn't eat many vegetables and apologizes for seeming hesitant. She realizes that despite seeming distracted, Ed is thoughtful, which calms her down. She tries to apologize, thinking she might be imposing her will on the group, but is quickly interrupted by compliments. Everyone begins eating and is surprised by the flavor. Even though it's vegetables, they find everything really delicious. The compliments on the cheese and tomatoes make the girl happy, seeing everyone savoring the meal with satisfaction. Everyone is shocked to see Arya eating vegetables, something rare. Rin is praised and asked how she managed to do that. She modestly says that the ingredients are already very flavorful on their own, so the credit goes to them. One of the members encourages her to try it, and the others start to experiment with curiosity and surprise. Vil tries the dish and is surprised by the flavor. He comments that he always thought vegetables could only be eaten raw or boiled until they lost their taste. Rin asks if he hated vegetables, and he confirms it, but is impressed by how they've been transformed into something so delicious. The elf tries the rice and carpaccio dish and is impressed. He praises the flavor of the rice and mentions that, along with the salad, there is a perfect balance between acidity and sweetness. He also says that it's refreshing to eat after the fish, clearly demonstrating that he approves of Rin's combination. Everyone praises the food enthusiastically. The elf says it's exceptionally delicious, and the others also seem impressed. Rin feels happy and relieved to see that everyone is enjoying it, smiling as she watches the table full of praise. The group prepares to continue exploring, and Vil trusts Rin and Arya to take care of things. Before they leave, Ed calls Rin over and shows her something curious he caught, a strange cube of water. He asks if it's edible, leaving Rin surprised. She looks at it with interest, wondering if it's some kind of magic as well. Rin closely examines the water cube and notices something moving inside. As she looks closer, she identifies what's trapped: squids. Surprised, she confirms aloud. The mysterious cube contains several live squids inside. The squid is described with strange and almost frightening details: empty eyes, a body covered in slimy mucus, and tentacles full of suckers. The scene seems like something that would require a sanity test, but Rin, excited and enchanted, thinks it's completely unnecessary. While the others look on, surprised and confused, she's already imagining the culinary possibilities with enthusiasm. Rin tries the squid and is delighted by the taste, declaring her love for this type of food. Ed also approves, saying it tastes like something from a market. Rin explains that the type of squid caught is known as flying squid, and that its meat is considered a delicacy. She recalls a time when she went squid fishing and describes the meat as crispy, sweet, and delicious, even the innards. Rin remembers the day she made shiokara with squid and ate too much rice with it. Concerned whether the others would accept the taste of the innards, she cautiously asks. To her surprise, everyone reacts positively. Some mention liking liver or dishes made with innards, either raw or stewed. Relieved and excited, Rin thanks them happily, seeing that everyone approved. Rin starts thinking excitedly about new recipes, even imagining a stew with sashimi. But she's soon surrounded by her companions, each asking for something different. One wants food that pairs with alcohol, another wants main courses, one asks for heavier foods, and Ed prefers something really spicy. She smiles, excited by the challenge of pleasing everyone. Rin is happy that everyone shared their wishes and understands what each one wants. Despite the challenge of satisfying everyone, she eagerly accepts. One of the requests is for soup, and she thinks of making a bouillabaisse, a fish soup with tomato and spices. Vil asks if it's a fisherman's soup, and Rin confirms with a smile, saying it's something like that. Vil shouts excitedly about something delicious, raising the culinary tension. Everyone surrounds Rin with ingredient suggestions: fish, shellfish, crab, and Ed offers to fetch more squid. The group is so excited about the food that Rin panics when she remembers that the main mission is a patrol, not a banquet. She tries to calm them down, reminding them they still have some sea bass leftovers. Rin panics as she realizes the area has so much potential for ingredients and fears over collecting. Vil, unconcerned, says it's better to have more ingredients, and they'll gather them as they go. Rin worries about straying so far from the mission and thinks about the consequences. She promises to reduce the number of dishes if Tori complains, trying to justify herself by remembering she can improvise something with what they already have. Rin tries to convince herself that Vil would never be careless with the mission. But when he responds with a simple, "I'll be careful," and avoids eye contact, she goes into a panic. Imagining the worst, she yells, accusing him of practically admitting he'll ignore the mission for ingredients. Vil tries to remain calm but can't contain his laughter at her exaggerated reaction. Vil apologizes, saying he was just joking, which surprises Rin. He assures her he won't act like he's ignoring the mission. To calm her down, he messes up her hair with a loving gesture, leaving everyone around confused, while Rin reacts embarrassed, not understanding how to respond. Vil smiles kindly and tells Rin to rest a bit, while continuing to ruffle her hair. She's confused by his tone and starts panicking internally, wondering if he sees her as a pet that cooks. Not knowing how to react, she goes into a panic at the thought. Rin tries to maintain her dignity, explaining that she still takes pride in being a person, even if they've messed up her hair as if she were an animal. The group prepares to leave, and Vil takes the lead of the patrol. They leave Rin in Arya's care, saying they'll celebrate later with her food. Rin says goodbye, asking them to return safely, while promising to make something tasty. Arya tells Rin to rest as she'll be on watch. Rin tries to refuse, saying she's fine, but is gently held in Arya's arms. Surprised by the affectionate gesture and Arya's almost divine posture, Rin gives in to the moment, marveling and completely enchanted. Even though she wants to say that she still has things to do or that she's not a child, Rin ends up surrendering to Arya's embrace. She feels the softness, the scent, and the pleasant temperature, naturally snuggling in. Gradually, the comfort takes over, and she falls asleep peacefully, enveloped by Arya's delicate and warm touch. Rin sleeps soundly in Arya's arms, who watches over her with a calm and gentle look. With care, she strokes Rin's hair, conveying affection and protection. In silence, Arya enjoys the tranquil moment by the sea, as the soft breeze completes the peaceful scene. Rin wakes up refreshed and thanks Arya emotionally, saying that Miss Bielit's lap was the best pillow and the best sleeping medicine. Embarrassed, Bielit asks her to stop. Shortly after, Rin gets excited and decides to start preparing the squid, pulling out a fishing tool with determination, ready for the next dish. Rin begins teaching how to prepare the squid, explaining that piercing between the eyes is a quick and humane way to kill it. She mentions that squid don't have scales or hard bones, which makes preparation easier. She shows how to tear the top part to separate the tentacles from the body and carefully remove the innards, impressing Bielit with her skill and clear explanations. Rin continues explaining the squid preparation process. She removes the internal cartilage, beak, and innards, showing how it's easy to pull everything out by hand. She also teaches how to remove the fins and skin of the squid. Next, she rubs salt on the tentacles to clean the suckers that cause an unpleasant sensation in the mouth. During the process, she recalls the water cube she got with Ed, connecting the preparation with the available ingredients. Rin becomes drenched while trying to remove the squid from the water cube, which bursts like a bubble. Disheartened, she laments that Ed didn't warn her and feels defeated. While remembering how she's cooked squid in various recipes like stir-fries and tempura, she mentions how she experimented a lot to get the right proportions with rice. When asked if she's used to it, she admits that yes, because it's an ingredient she really enjoys. Rin finishes dissecting the squid, but decides to prepare the shio kara just when it's time for the meal. Meanwhile, she comments that the secret to enhancing the flavor of the squid lies in the heat, although umami flavors also become more intense when cold. She highlights the role of the innards in the dish's flavor. With the expectation that the others will bring more ingredients from the hunt, Rin gets excited to speed up the preparation. Rin suggests making a spicy stir-fry with potatoes and butter. She praises the potatoes for their versatility and nutritional value, saying they fill you up quickly and keep their vitamins even when heated. Meanwhile, Arya seems thoughtful. Rin starts reflecting on the tastes of the group and thinks about creating a menu that will please everyone, recognizing that although potatoes are popular, some may tire of them. Rin decides there's no point in arguing. Butter ikaguro with potatoes will be the dish of the day. She thinks the combination of squid umami, butter flavor, and soy sauce aroma will convince everyone. She begins preparing the ingredients, cutting skinless squid pieces for the butter dish and skin-on ones for the stir-fry, storing everything in the fridge while moving ahead with the preparation. Rin finishes preparing the shio kara by covering the innards with a generous amount of salt and wrapping it in paper towels before refrigerating. She also lightly salts the body of the skinless squid and places it directly in the fridge without wrapping it. This helps reduce moisture and concentrate the flavor. Arya watches in admiration, while Rin confesses that she thinks so much about this because she loves eating. While Rin thinks about curing more squid in case Ed brings more, they're interrupted by Vil's urgent call. He appears with a serious expression and asks for help immediately, catching everyone by surprise. Vil appears agitated and they all follow him to the beach, where Rin notices an unexpected scene, a woman with an attention-grabbing body lying on the white sand in front of a vast blue sea. She and the other adventurers approach quietly, intrigued by the situation. Rin steps closer, surprised, and finds what seemed to be a human body from a distance. But it's actually a stranded orca on the sand. Shocked, she recognizes the animal and reacts confused, asking aloud, "Orca?
Subscribe to the channel to support our work because it takes a lot of work to produce these quality videos. Thank you for everything and see you in the next video.